Folks who live east of I-65. So Cumberland Plateau area especially, you are under that slight risk, which is only a level 2 out of 5, so not really on the stronger end of things. Everyone else in Middle Tennessee and Southern Kentucky is under a marginal risk. Highlighted in green here, that is a level 1 out of 5. So our severe threat today is low, but it's not complete zero. So I mentioned to you earlier, there is a possibility of seeing an isolated tornado. We can't rule it out completely, but it looks like large hail's probably a lot of sunshine by then and a nice warm up. We go from the 50s on Sunday to the 70s on Monday. Even warmer for Tuesday, but some clouds do build in, and those clouds will be setting us up for some late evening showers that linger into Wednesday. We're looking at widespread showers and a few storms as well on Wednesday afternoon. Then we dry out by Thursday and Friday. We still keep with that warmer weather and a nice warm up as we head into the weekend with some sunshine.
Melanie, thank you for that. Testing for coronavirus symptoms remains largely isolated to emergency rooms, urgent care, or drive-through testing kiosks. But as of recently, being tested at home is becoming a viable option.
I certainly think that the capacity to do testing at home from the comfort of your home could be a very potentially good thing going forward, because it would certainly increase access to testing.
At-home testing is now available from LabCorp. The company's Pixel test is the first at-home COVID-19 test to receive FDA emergency use authorization.
I'm sure it was a huge barrier to figure out if patients would collect the sample right. But one of the interesting things about this test is that the swab doesn't have to go all the way down into the back of the nose.
$120 test. First fill out a questionnaire to see if they are eligible. Then the company sends the test, which must be mailed back for results.
I think that this test probably will be utilized mostly by people who may have mild symptoms or who are relatively well, or potentially in the future by people who are close contacts of someone who's a known positive.
Similar to the test conducted right now at medical facilities, the test can only tell you if your result is positive or negative at the time you took the test.
Eventually, we think that there may also be antibody testing. Those antibody tests will tell you, have you been exposed to the virus at some point in the past, and could you be immune to the virus?
But this is the first step.
I think in general, the more testing we do, the better a grip we're going to get on this within our community.
Currently, the test is only available on LabCorp's website to healthcare workers and first responders. The company says it hopes to make the test available soon to the general public. Now to an eye-opening study out of New York. It reveals just how quickly the coronavirus spreads under the radar. Researchers looked at the result of 3,000 random antibody tests. That's how doctors know if you've had the virus or not. Turns out 14% of those tested had COVID-19 antibodies. With nearly 20 million people in the state, it may mean some 2.7 million New Yorkers may have already been infected.
They had the virus, they developed the antibodies, and they are now, quote unquote, recovered.
Get this, on March 1st, the CDC confirmed 23 cases in 5 major U.S. cities, but researchers say models suggest the true number of infections was likely 28,000. Okay, I'm wondering if y'all can relate to this. The coronavirus pandemic is causing people to have weird dreams. It's even disrupting their sleep. One sleep doctor says We're on information overload right now. Between getting all the essential information about the pandemic and beating boredom by scrolling through social media, there's a lot of information to process.
Oftentimes you sort of repress these thoughts, but when you get into sleep, you don't really have control over that. And it'll often manifest with a lot of unusual things, a lot of waking up at night, unusual dreams, maybe even nightmares.
People are also anxious, so experts say avoiding your phone before bed and finding ways during the day to relax are key. This morning, the FDA is reminding people that there is no risk of getting COVID-19 from food packaging, so you don't need to wipe down your groceries. They say your main focus should be washing your hands after any potential encounter with coronavirus. Finding a way to break the boredom is the challenge for so many quarantined people these days worldwide. A break from that boredom happened earlier this week in Murfreesboro. News 4's Terry Bolger shows us.
It's a lonely time inside the Tennessee State Veterans Home in Murfreesboro. 120 residents quarantined for weeks, looking for someone to say hello in there.
It's your new neighbor.
Today it's not someone, it's something.
He's talking too. He says hello.
3 1,200-pound walking horses, ready to look these veterans straight in the eye and say hi.
He's saying hello.
The horses 6 feet tall and 6 feet apart, through windows doing their part to serve the veterans who served.
Getting as close as possible to the window. It's nice to just send a message that we're smiling, even though we have a window or a different building in between us. It's still the same emotion and feeling.
Emotional, and not just for the vets.
The horses, they're happy to spread some smiles to everybody else.
Allison Thorson is a 79-time world equestrian champion.
Hi, friends.
She knows how horses can help.
Animals can tell when we're tense, when we're stressed, when we're happy and smiling. And just through his senses, with his ears forward, his eyes alert, he's looking around too because he knows there's some kind of interaction coming through on the other side.
Here on the inside, where a neigh was needed.
It looks like the morale's wonderful inside.
Terry Bolger, News 4, Nashville.
Still ahead, a local effort to get businesses back on their feet will show you how to apply. And as we head back into the break, we are taking a live look outside. That is a tight shot on a beautiful green tree. Love seeing all that life out there. The time is 6:26. Don't go far. We'll be right back.
Join News 4.
The NFL Draft is presented by Lowe's, the official home improvement sponsor of the NFL, and in part by Pizza Hut, Order today at pizzahut.com.
All right, welcome back. The Giants are on the clock. There you see Dave Gettleman. For those wondering why he's wearing the mask when he's up in his attic, remember, he is recovering from lymphoma, so he's at much higher risk, so he needs to take extra precautions. There we see Joe Judge. Do we see Abby the dog? Is Abby in there? We'll find out. We'll see what happens there. But before we announce the next selection, we have some very special guests that we'd like to introduce to you. Please join me.
Thank you, Specialist Smith, and thank you to all our service members, both here and around the world. We cannot thank you enough for what you do and what you continue to do in these uncertain times. Thank you. With the 36th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Xavier McKinney, defensive back, Alabama.
All right, so the X-Man is off the board, which means it's time for another tattoo for Xavier McKinney. He has been doing that since he was 6 years old. He's got Marvin the Martian, the Minions. He's got a bunch of things on there. Now he's going to have a New York Giants logo as well. No surprise, we're starting to see these safeties come off the board. We talked about the tattoos. He's been tattooing players on the field. DJ, he didn't run as well as a lot of people thought he would at the combine. He was suffering from cramps, but this is a guy who made plays for Nick Saban on the back end.
Yeah, this is the best safety in the draft, and I think the Giants benefited from the fact that Xavier McKinney did not get a pro day to clean that 40 time up. This is a first-round player who can play as a high safety. You can drop him down in the box. He's got outstanding instincts. He also has the ability to find and play the football. And Lewis, what I love most about him is they had so many injuries at the linebacker position. They're able to drop him down in that nickel linebacker role, and he was able to communicate everything for their front. So you know you're getting a very smart, heady football player for the Giants.
Exactly, DJ. You know, that position that you're talking about, that nickel linebacker position, is called the money position. The money backer that lines up over tight ends and covers backs, and he can play the star position too, which is the true nickel position. You're right, he has tremendous eyes, tremendous ability to key and diagnose plays. His play entry angles are always good, always sound, and he will drop the hammer on you. And the thing that makes him so good is then you can put him back deep and he can range off the hash, play in the middle of the field. He's the total package. The Giants nailed this pick.
Well, remember, they had success with Landon Collins in the second round a few years ago, but there you see a canine resemblance for Bill Belichick, the Patriots head coach, and Nick Caserio, the director of player personnel. The Patriots are finally participating in the draft process. Let's see where they go.
With the 37th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Kyle Duggar, defensive back, Lenoir-Rhyne.
Lenoir-Rhyne, stand up. Kyle Duggar is off the board. It's the first time an NFL team has selected a Division II safety in the first 3 rounds since the Bears took Daniel Manning out of Abilene Christian, 42nd overall in 2006. This is a guy who just sort of slipped through the cracks and spent 6 years in college. But his mother, Kimberly, was a former basketball star at Fort Valley State, inducted into their Athletic Hall of Fame in 2009. His brother, Patrick, played basketball at LaGrange College in Georgia from 2012 to 12-14. Kyler played basketball at Whitewater High School of Georgia, just like his brother and mother did. And then, of course, at Lenoir-Rhyne, Mel, this guy was a freak show. You just don't see his kind of athleticism at this level.
Dominant player at a lower level of competition, as was Jeremy Chin coming out of Southern Illinois, who could be a pick coming up in the 2nd or 3rd round. Kyle Duggar did it in a variety of ways with that kind of linebacker size, 6'1", nearly 220 pounds. In the return game, he was outstanding as well, phenomenal. 6 punt return touchdowns in his career, 10 career interceptions. At that level, to be a high NFL draft pick, you got to jump off the tape. You got to be a guy who's a stick-out performer, special teams, on the back end in that secondary. Kyle Duggar was throughout his career at Lenoir-Rhyne. That's what makes you an early second-round draft choice, Bug.
Simply put, Mel, he was a playmaker. He's a guy that can come down and make plays, 10 picks throughout his career. You talk about the 6 punt returns for a touchdown. Here's a guy from a playmaking standpoint. He's always going to be around the ball. You can insert him down. He's going to make sure that if you need a play on your defense, he can make the play, Trey.
All right, thanks very much. The next pick is in. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the 38th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end, Penn State.
All right, Yetur Gross-Matos led the team at Penn State with 9.5 sacks and 15 tackles for loss. He was a first-team All-Big Ten selection by the coaches and the media. But the things that he has had to deal with through a very, very young start in his life is absolutely incredible. Size 17 shoe, by the way, by the age of 15. But you see those tattoos on his arm. When Yetur Gross-Matos was 2 years old, he and his father, Michael, were in a boating accident. Michael made sure Yetur was saved, and then he drowned. And then just a few years after that, on a Little League game in June of 2009, lightning struck and killed his brother, Kalal. He was only 12 years old. And as you saw, he has tattoos on his chest and his left bicep to represent who he plays for his late father and his brother. In fact, Lewis, in one of his first games at Penn State, he got a half sack in the game and the skies opened up and he felt like that was his family watching him. What are they getting in Carolina in this player?
They're getting a strong, physical individual that they're going to pair with Derek Brown, and now they're going to bring the pain to everybody in the NFC South. I can guarantee you that. He's a guy who really just plays heavy-handed at the point of attack, and he also has slippery pass rush ability. He's not the fastest, and he's not the most powerful, but he's a great combination of both. He utilizes good hand use. He utilizes understanding leverage. He utilizes understanding blocking schemes, and when he's able to get upfield and just take off, you can see he can produce those TFLs, those tackle for loss. I really like the pick, especially when you pair it with Derek Brown and you see what Matt Rule's trying to do, Booger.
Yeah, without a doubt, Lewis. Not only Derek Brown, but think about Brian Burns, who's going to play that right end position coming off the edge. A guy like Gross-Matos, you can put him in left end. He has strong hands. He can play over the tight end. You pair him with Derek Brown and Brian Burns, you can see Matt Rule and Carolina starting to build a very formidable defensive line.
Listen, the rule restoration is underway in Carolina. Why did they take 2 defensive players in the first 2 picks, and why are the kids so happy? They allowed 29.4 points per game last year. That's the worst in team history. Everybody's happy now as they're going defense in Carolina.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
You know, you've already got a home team. Willie, Lauren, Steven, Deborah. 300,000 members of a team working hard to keep your home working for you. Because home is what unites us.
Looks like they picked the wrong getaway driver.
They'll be paying for this for a long time.
They will, but with accident forgiveness. Allstate won't raise your rates just because of an accident, even if it's your fault.
Cut! Sonny.
Is that good?
Line. The desert never lies.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you were talking about Allstate and insurance. Let's try again. Everybody back to 1.
Accident forgiveness from Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
If we weren't able to stream anything, I think they'd be lost.
We're all home right now. That's why Verizon is giving you more of the entertainment you want.
Daily is usually watching a TV show, and McKenna is almost always listening to music.
We love Verizon.
I get the shows I need when I need them. Now, unlimited plans come with your favorite artists on Apple Music, shows and movies on Disney Plus, and over 70 top channels of live TV with YouTube TV.
Music plays a huge role in our family. That's how we connect.
Plans start at just $35 so your family can mix, match, and save. Shop online today, only at Verizon.
Gather round. The Cravings Pack from Taco Bell. 4 crunchy tacos and 4 beefy 5-layer burritos for only $10. Pairs perfectly with all your Taco Bell favorites. So grab a $10 Cravings Pack for your crew at Taco Bell's contactless drive-thru.
Now, more than ever, her love keeps you centered. Show her how much she means to you with a gift from the Center of Me collection. Happy Mother's Day from Kay.
My time is thin, but so is my lawn.
It's been worn down to ugly, thin grass. Now there's Scott's Thicker Lawn, the 3-in-1 solution with a soil improver to strengthen roots, seed to fill in gaps, and fertilizer to feed. The result? Up to a 50% thicker lawn after just 1 application.
Now yard time is our time.
This is a Scott's Yard. Download the Scott's My Lawn app for your personalized plan.
Service isn't just a department. It's a voice on the other end of the phone.
A note to say you're on our mind. A willingness to come to you.
The world and how we interact with each other is changing, but that will never change who we are at Lexus.
Now, more than ever, you and your needs come first.
Find out what service options are available in your area at lexus.com/people first.
Hey, I'm Chad Johnson, and I just want to take time to say thank you to all the doctors, the nurses.
Man, without y'all guys, I don't know where we'll be in this time of need. So I just want to say thank you. And I want to say you're doing a fantastic job.
I also want to give a huge shout out to all the hardworking healthcare workers that are sacrificing their lives. You are greatly appreciated, and we thank you.
Glad you're with us for the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft. There is Robert Hunt, and if you like tape of an offensive lineman manhandling people, that's the tape you want to watch in this year's draft. When will Robert Hunt's name be called? And when are we going to hear Grant Delpit come off the board? We've had a run on safeties here recently, but we're talking about the Jim Thorpe Award winner as the nation's top defensive back, still on the board. We're waiting to see when Grant Delpit may go. So it is Miami's turn to make a selection. Of course, with those 3 first-round picks, they went Tua Tagovailoa, number 1 overall, and then, or 5th overall, rather, in the first round. Then they got the left tackle to block for him, Austin Jackson, all Pac-12 selection out of USC, and Noah Igbenogany, adding to a very crowded cornerback room for the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores, the head coach, Chris Greer, the general manager, trying to figure out where they will go next. A couple of offensive players and that 1 cornerback. The pick is in for Miami. Let's find out what the Brain Trust is going to do next.
With the 39th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Robert Hunt, tackle, Louisiana Lafayette.
Well, there he is. Robert Hunt is now off the board, and Robert Hunt is a fascinating prospect here because Robert Hunt in the last 2 seasons allowed a total of 5 quarterback pressures and 574 pass blocks. He did not have a single blown block on any of his 216 rushes in the last 2 seasons. Daniel Jeremiah, again, if you want to see someone abuse another man, this is the videotape you want to watch.
No doubt, Trey. I'll be fascinated to see what the Dolphins are going to do with him because some teams think he'll kick inside the guard, but at right tackle, you want to see somebody unload on defenders at the line of scrimmage, just roll his hips, explode, and bodies go flying all over the place, collecting knockdown after knockdown. You see him also get out in space. He's got some nimble feet when he gets out there. I thought this is somebody that's going to be a plug-and-play guard, but the Miami Dolphins might give him a shot to start outside before kicking him inside. They've done a nice job with 2 offensive linemen now to put in front of Tua Tagovailoa. Like what they did with Austin Jackson, now they come back with Robert Hunt.
Go ahead, Dan. You think about it, with a kid like this, you can put him in 3 different spots and see what happens. Guard, right tackle. He played a little left tackle, but I think when you look at Robert Hunt, he wasn't pitted against those big-time defensive linemen playing at Louisiana Lafayette, so there may be a little bit more of a transition because of that, but it's all about making Tua great. You get Austin Jackson, who was a developmental left tackle coming out of USC, and Robert Hunt, another guy's going to have to adjust to the level of competition coming from Louisiana Lafayette. So both those linemen need coaching. They may be maybe a year away, but Robert Hunt's versatility can be a big plus for that Miami Dolphin offensive line.
Well, I'm sensing a theme for the Miami Dolphins and Chris Grier. We've got Tua Tagovailoa. He was a little banged up. Let's protect this guy as they get Austin Jackson. Brian Flores is happy, and so is his son with that selection. And then they get Robert Hunt as well, along with the cornerback Noah Igbenogany, who both of his parents, by the way, were Olympian-level athletes and competed in the 92 and 96 Olympic Games. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans are now on the clock, and there you see Bill O'Brien with, among other people, his son Jack, a 17-year-old who is there with him to help make the pick, and let's see what happens.
With the 40th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Ross Blacklock, defensive tackle, TCU.
All right, Ross Blacklock is a very interesting story as he's awaiting to hear the news officially that he is off the board. Played at TCU. The advisory board told him to go back to school for one more year, but he says, I'm going to trust my instincts. Out of Missouri City, Texas, not far away from Houston. His father played basketball at Texas. And oh, by the way, you might know him from another team he played for, a former Harlem Globetrotter, point guard and dribbler. And now he's their head coach. And he knows how to do all the tricks and everything going. There is Jimmy Blacklock doing his thing. And, of course, he was the ultimate showman as part of the Harlem Globetrotters. But he says he gets a lot more joy watching his son go out there on the field and dominate. And, Booger, Ross is a guy who can get some things done.
Without a doubt, Fred, you're talking about a longer, leaner defensive tackle, 6'3", 290 pounds. Wasn't quite in the right system to pass rush at TCU, but boy, can he bend and get underneath guards and centers. And he's gonna have an easy time, I think, when he gets one-on-one with guards in the National Football League because of his agility, sideline to sideline, the way he plays. This is the type of guy from a defensive tackle standpoint that you want to put in the 3 technique, and on pass rush situations, say, hey, big fella, go get the quarterback, and Lewis, he can do it at a high level.
Yeah, you're right, Booger. He should move to that 3 technique. They had him in the 2-eye or the shade over the center a lot of times at TCU, but what he had was tremendous hand use. He was always square. He always beat offensive linemen to the punch with his hands, and he could control them and then explode off a block and make tackles. Now, this is a guy, you're right, when you put him outside shade of the guard and just say, hey, go get the quarterback, that's where you're going to see the best from him, and I think the upside is all there. This is a good pick for him here at the top of the 2nd round.
And there is the celebration as Ross Blacklock is staying close to home, taken by the Houston Texans. And there you see Bill O'Brien, happy. And there you see the sign on his 17-year-old son, Jack. Thank you to all the frontline heroes. And we are excited to see what happens there. Meanwhile, the Indianapolis Colts, Frank Reich and Chris Ballard, the general manager, have made their selection. The pick is in. Let's see who the Colts are going with again.
The Cleveland Browns have traded the 41st pick to the Indianapolis Colts. With the 41st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Jonathan Taylor, running back, Wisconsin.
Jonathan Taylor is a fascinating player. Came out of New Jersey, where he broke another former Badger running back's high school rushing record. He almost went to Harvard as a philosophy major. Instead, he'd have decided to go to Wisconsin, and all he did was rush for over 6,171 yards, and he finished 2019 with 2,003 yards, multiple 2,000-yard rushing seasons, just the 3rd person ever to do that. 3-time All-American. He's a 2-time Doak Award winner, given to the nation's top running back. Again, over 6,000 rushing yards, good for 4th most in FBS history. By the way, He's the only one to have over 6,000 yards only in 3 seasons. And there you see, he rushed for only 1,900 yards in that one other year. So you wonder what happened that one season. The only thing, the knock on him is the carries, Lewis, but he seems healthy. But then there have been some fumbling issues as well.
Yeah, look, this is a guy who right now, Chris Ballard obviously had his eye on, and he said, look, Jonathan Taylor fits what I want to do behind my offensive line, which is absolutely just pound the football north and south and bloody your nose and make you understand what it's like to be in a physical football game. Jonathan Taylor can do it all. He can run inside. He can run outside. He's a guy who has home run speed. He has 10-300-meter speed, and they will address the fumbling issues. He will get that corrected. And as far as his production in the passing game, he has good hands. He will work at that. But he right now, he fits perfectly with what the Indianapolis Colts like to do in the running game and as an offense overall, Mel.
And Lewis, he's got to fix it. It was 18 career fumbles, 15 lost. Now in college, when you're up 35-3 in the third quarter, it doesn't matter. But in the NFL, drives are so critical. You can't give them away, and that's something he's got to fix. Tiki Barber did. In the receiving, he dropped some swing passes. Even against Oregon at Rose Bowl, had a fumble when Troy Dye stripped him, linebacker from Oregon. So great runner, no doubt about it. You'd like to see a little more versatility, though, DJ. He's got some things to work on. Ball security and catching the football out of the backfield.
Well, he has some history.
Yeah, the burst and the explosiveness is there, Trey. Real quick, I was going to add this real quick, Trey. The burst and the explosiveness is there. He only was in pass pro reps 32 times last year. So they were putting that ball in his belly. He wasn't asked to protect. And Phillip Rivers has always had a back that could do that. So that's another area he's going to have to address.
Real quickly, he has some history at Lucas Oil Stadium. His second to last game there, he rushed for 148 yards and a TD in a loss to Ohio State. And at the Combine there, blazed, leading all running backs with a 4.3940. He's going to have some philosophy lessons about this.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
Yo, Dad, come play some ball. You're not my dad.
I'm not your dad. Of course I'm your dad's son. If I wasn't your dad, would I be able to do this?
What are you doing?
I'm doing this. Make a swish. Uh-oh. Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. There's no replacing the real Chris Paul.
Not my car.
Just like there's no replacing State Farm.
Come on, man. Stop trying to be me.
You want the real deal? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know how you cook the patty and you slap that cheese on there and it just all comes together. Can't forget about the bacon.
I taste the sweetness.
I taste the tangy of it. Oh, you want to try that?
Yes. Sweet and tangy bacon slinger.
Every financial plan needs a CFP professional. Confident financial plans, calming financial plans, complete financial plans. They're all possible with a CFP professional. Find yours at letsmakeaplan.org.
What's up, everybody? Tony Gonzalez here, urging you to stay at home, take care of your family, protect yourself.
We're at the end of another day here at the Cousins household. We're going a little stir crazy at the house.
I wanted to share what I've been up to. Staying home and staying strong, baby.
Just continue to spend time with your family, as I'm doing right now. As we're doing a puzzle, me and my daughter Joy. Say hi.
You miss your friends, you miss your family, just pick up that phone, FaceTime, call them.
As an NFL community, one of the things we always do, we come up and we come through so many times and we're better for it.
This is the time for all of us to come together as a world, not just America. It's all of us, collectively, like a great team.
I hope you're staying safe, protecting yourselves, protecting your families, protecting the whole world.
And I know we're gonna get through this together.
We're gonna be all right, baby. We're gonna be all right, I promise you that.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks healthy donors to schedule an appointment to give during this coronavirus outbreak. Patients are counting on life-saving transfusions. Visit redcrossblood.org.
All right, glad you're with us on round 2, day 2 of the 2020 NFL Draft. And here we are in the Bud Light Seltzer virtual huddle. Mel Kiper Jr., Louis Riddick, Booger McFarland, and glad to be joined by our great teammates from the NFL Network, Daniel Jeremiah, and a couple of Hall of Famers, quarterback Kurt Warner and Michael Irvin. Meanwhile, Jalen Hurts, the Oklahoma quarterback from Alabama to begin, waiting to hear when he will come off the board and what his prospects look like and his unique skill set and how it will translate into the NFL. Meanwhile, we are already on to pick number 10 here. The Jacksonville Jaguars are on the clock. There you see Doug Marrone and David Caldwell, the general manager, trying to work things through, and we believe that at this point the pick has come in. What are the Jacksonville Jaguars going to do? We've seen a run on safeties and wide receivers so far. Let's listen in.
With the 42nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Laviska Shenault, wide receiver, Colorado.
Duval, stand up, because Laviska Shenault is a big play waiting to happen. How do I know that? The first time he ever touched the ball in a game at Colorado as a freshman, he picked up a fumbled punt and took it 55 yards to the house against Texas State as a true freshman. He chose Colorado over offers from Alabama and LSU because he said, I want to go somewhere not on the map already. And the dreadlocks are a tribute to his father, Laviska Shenault Sr. Laviska Sr. died unexpectedly when Laviska was only 10 years old. He slipped on gravel and stumbled into a busy road and was fatally struck by a pickup truck. He was only 39 years old, and Laviska decided to grow out his dreadlocks as a tribute to his late father. And he is a guy who puts in work and has a sturdy build. He didn't just lift with the other receivers, he lifted with the Buffalo offensive linemen, and the strength coach, Michael, made him stop every time he got to squatting 500 pounds. This is a guy who had an injury that slowed him down a little bit, but man, he is explosive.
He is absolutely an explosive trait, and it's no surprise that he lifts with the offensive lineman, because when you watch this kid play, when he gets the football, it is dangerous to be in his way. He is not one of those receivers that catches the ball and tries to go out of bounds. He will go through you with that football in his hands. He has running back ability from the wide receiver position. You can see him right here, breaking out of tackles, taking it to the house. They call him Visca, but what a great pickup this is, DJ.
Yeah, Irv, this is somebody that they lined up all over the field as a wildcat quarterback, running back in the slot, out wide at receiver. The competitiveness and the toughness with him is what jumped out to me. And when I talked to his coach, Mel Tucker, he told me about one play against Stanford, 4th and 1. They need a conversion to get in field goal range to try and win that football game. They give him the ball and a handoff. The end is unblocked, and Laviska Shenault just ran him flush over to get the first down. So you're getting a strong, physical, competitive football player.
Well, that's a really interesting draft board we're seeing there from Jacksonville with Kayvon Chason and the cornerback, and now Laviska Shenault as well. So we'll see what happens there. Meanwhile, we're waiting to see what goes on with David Caldwell. He is very, very happy about that pick of Laviska Shenault, giving Gardner Minshew another weapon to throw to. Okay, before we get to our next selection, we see Matt Nagy there, the head coach of the Chicago Bears. That's a lot of stuff on the wall. I'm going to need to know exactly what they're doing there. It seems like that's a theme in some way, shape, or form. And there you see Ryan Pace, the general manager, with his daughter going over last-minute notes as we try and figure out what the Bears are going to do with their pick here in the second round. Pick number 11 in this round, 43 overall, as we continue our draft coverage. Before we get to our next selection, though, which is going to be from the Chicago Bears, we have a very special message for you from the health specialists at Advocate Healthcare in Chicago, Illinois. These people who are on the front line doing their best to keep us safe as we battle the pandemic of the coronavirus outbreak.
Hello, my name is Linda, and I'm a simulation education specialist with Advocate Healthcare in Chicago. I am proud to be on the front lines of this pandemic, helping our patients beat COVID-19. Team up by doing your part. Stay home and practice social distancing. Go Bears!
So the pick is in for Chicago, and let's
We can't say thank you enough to our medical professionals taking care of our communities in Chicago and all over the country. We are proud to support you and all frontline workers. We will get through this together. Now, with the 43rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Cole Kmet, tight end, Notre Dame.
Well, the tight ends are going to be coming off the board, and no surprise that Cole Kmet is one of the first one. He put on a show at the Combine, ran a 4.740, tying for second with a 10-foot 3-inch broad jump. He said, I want to do the things necessary to show I'm the top tight end at the draft. And he's the latest in a long line of Notre Dame tight ends to make their way in the NFL. He is now the 11th Notre Dame tight end to be taken in the first or second round, and that doesn't even include Mark Bavaro, who went, of course, to the Giants in the 4th round. And the family tree, well, it's strong for the Kmet family. His uncle, Jeff Skanina, was a defensive tackle for many years. In fact, Jeff Skanina was the guy that John Madden used to introduce the term cankles to us. He didn't have ankles, his calves just rolled into his ankles. And his father, Frank, was a defensive end at Purdue from 88 to 91. And this is an athletic guy in Cole Kmet, Mel. He wanted to play and did play for a while, both baseball and football at Notre Dame, before finally settling on football.
He had 8 saves in 2017. He was a four-star recruit, had 4 sacks in high school as well on the defensive side. But he really came on this year. It was his first year as a starter. He was a backup to Alizé Mack last year. Had an injury with the broken collarbone in practice, missed 3 games. And he comes back against Georgia. And you're talking about a guy in this game set a record for Notre Dame tight ends. 9 catches, 108 yards, 1 touchdown. That's most by an Irish tight end since 1977. He went on to have some really good games against USC, 6 catches, BC, 7 receptions, Stanford, 5 catches. Big kid, 6'5", almost 6'6", 260 pounds. He's an inviting target, really good hands. I tell you, you want to see a few less body catches, a little bit more hands with him because he does have good hands, good body control. He'll block, but it's a work in progress there. So he was clearly, in my opinion, slightly out of Adam Troutman from Dayton as the best tight end in this draft, and he will be a weapon for whether it's Nick Foles or Mitchell Trubisky. Cole Kmet's going to be asked to do an awful lot in that Chicago Bears offense.
Well, here's what you need to know. The Bears like tight ends. With this selection, the Bears currently have 10 tight ends on their roster. I'm guessing all 10 won't be there when the season starts. Stay with us. We're rolling on.
I wanted more from my COPD medicine. That's why I've got the power of 1, 2, 3 medicines with Trelegy.
The only FDA-approved once-daily 3-in-1 COPD treatment.
Trelegy, the power of 1, 2, 3. Trelegy, 1, 2, 3. Trelegy.
With Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3, I'm breathing better. Trelegy works 3 ways to open airways, keep them open, and reduce inflammation for 24 hours of better breathing.
Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Trelegy is not for asthma. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure before taking it. Do not take Trelegy more than prescribed. Trelegy may increase your risk of thrush, pneumonia, and osteoporosis. Call your doctor if worsened breathing, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur.
Think your COPD medicine is doing enough? Maybe you should think again.
Ask your doctor about once-daily Trelegy and the power of 1, 2, 3.
Trelegy, 1, 2, 3.
Save at Trelegy.com.
Coming together makes us stronger, and Ford is built to lend a hand, especially now, with 6-month payment relief. Buy a new Ford. We'll defer 3 payments and make 3 payments for peace of mind up to 6 months. Shop at Ford.com or contact your Ford dealer to find out more about home delivery and other vehicle service options. You have a lot to take care of. Let us help take care of you.
This right here is the new papadilla, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Latin for better than a sandwich. Even has a better pickle. Get a new papadilla for $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Hold my pouch. Trust us. Us kids are ready to take things into our own hands. Don't think so? Hold my pouch.
Sports will be back.
But for now, we're all rooting for a different kind of hero.
Let's embody the best parts of sports.
Teamwork,
sacrifice,
resilience.
One goal, together.
Well, we've just observed the critical work the CDC is doing to fight this pandemic. We all need each other now more than ever. So if you're able to help, please do what you can. Visit NFL.com/relief. Well, there is Grant Delpit, the Jim Thorpe Award winner as the best defensive back in college football, still waiting for his name to be called. Also still on the board, Antoine Winfield Jr., the son of Antoine Winfield Sr., who was the 23rd overall pick by the Buffalo Bills in the 1992 draft. We've seen a couple of safeties go off the board, wondering when we'll hear the names of Delpit and Antoine Winfield go off the board as well. And there you see the brainchild of the Cleveland Browns, Kevin Stefanski, the new head coach, Andrew Berry, the vice president and general manager. A lot of Ivy League guys in the front office for the Cleveland Browns. The pick is in right now. Let's find out where Cleveland is going to go with this selection.
The dog pound? With the 44th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Grant Delpit, defensive back, LSU.
All right, so Grant Delpit is off the board, and he's finally there. He is going to go to the Cleveland Browns. By the way, this is the second straight year that the Cleveland Browns have taken an LSU defensive back in the second round. They also got corner Greedy Williams last year in the second round. So he's nicknamed Baby Jamal after Jamal Adams, the former LSU and current Jeff safety. And, of course, he is a Saints fan. Grant Delpit grew up going to Saints games in the Superdome. Back then, he was recognized as a kid who would repeatedly run up and down the ramps at games. A fellow Saints fan would tell his father that one day Delpit would be playing in the Superdome. So, Boog, what do we think about Grant Delpit here?
You know, if the draft would have been after the 2018 season, Grant Delpit would have been a first-round pick because there's nothing this young man can't do. You want to put him in the slot, have him cover wide receivers or tight ends, he can do that. You want to put him in the half field as a safety, he can do that. A tackling machine, someone that can blitz. But what happened, you come into 2019, missed several tackles, had the high ankle sprain. The tape didn't just look as good as it did in 2019, and Grant Delpit suffered because of that. But I think going to Cleveland, now you got Ward on the outside as a corner, Grant Delpit as a safety. He is a playmaker at the safety position, especially if he's healthy, and he showed you in the national championship game against Clemson his ability to come down and blitz. He can be that enforcer type as long as he cleans the tackles up.
Well, that's the whole key. What we saw in 2018 was an all-around safety when he was 100%. Problem was this year he had an ankle injury against Auburn in October. You know, he wasn't close to 100% against Alabama, Ole Miss. He really struggled in that game against the Ole Miss Rebels on November 16th. So you look at Grant Delpit, he didn't have a chance to run that 4.45, 4.48 at the pro day, which would have helped him. So I think I figure when he's healthy, he was a different player. This year with the ankle, he missed so many tackles. He was not flying around being the player he was in 2018. Do you attribute it all to the ankle? Do you excuse it all away because of the injury? That's why there was a lot of mixed opinion on Grant Delpit going into the draft. And who would have ever thought Lenore Ryan beat LSU in something? They had a first safety taken over Grant Delpit.
Nice line, Mel. By the way, he admitted he was trying too hard at some point to be perfect. But yeah, some of that absolutely was the injuries as well. Okay, now on the clock, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. There you see Bruce Arians still chilling on the back porch, and Jason Licht, the general manager. The pick is in. Let's find out where they're going.
With the 45th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Antoine Winfield, defensive back, Minnesota.
Okay, this is kind of strange. We've had 4 safeties go off here in the second round, and they both went in back-to-back picks. The Giants took Xavier McKinney, and then the Patriots took Kyle Duggar. We just had Cleveland take Grant Delpit, and now Antoine Winfield Jr. is off the board. I could be wrong, but I think they're a little happy about this in the Woodlands, Texas, which is where he's from. Again, Antoine Winfield, a unanimous All-American, the 2019 Big Ten Defensive Back of the Year. And as we said, his father was a first-round pick in 1999 by the Buffalo Bills. You take a little of what we see of Antoine Winfield. Daniel Jeremiah, what do you like? Dad first, by the way. This was his dad. But by the way, when we rebroadcast the game between the Packers and Vikings, when Brett Favre was with the Vikings, he had an interception. So I just want to throw that out. So now, take us to the Sun, Daniel.
Well, look, Antoine Winfield, his dad was a stud who was an outstanding playmaker, and you see some of those same things from Antoine Winfield Jr. He plays as the high safety. You'll see the range, the instincts, and the ability to drive on the football from the deep hash. He also has the ability to drop down and cover in the nickel and match up man-to-man. But once the ball is up in the air, it is his. He finds a way to attack it, and he's a great finisher. You watch the Fresno State game. At the end of that ball game, he makes a wheeling interception as good as any you'll see in this draft class. And guys, I'll just add this. Vita Vea up the middle, Devin White up the middle, and now you've got Antoine Winfield. That's a good-looking core up the middle of that defense for the Bucs.
What do you think, Lewis?
Well, I'm sorry, man. Look, I'll just tell you this. He's one of my favorite players because of the positional versatility. Look, we've already hit on the fact that he can play free safety, strong safety. He can play the nickel linebacker. He can play the dime linebacker. He can play the star or the money, as they call it, down front. And he does have tremendous ball skills. The defensive back coaches down there in Tampa Bay, he has some great ones he's going to learn from. Todd Bowles, Nick Rapone, Kevin Ross. These guys all know how to coach up defensive back play. And this kid is born to play the position.
And then you saw, of course, who they took in the first round, Tristan Wirfs. Let's not forget they also happened to pick up, Rob Gronkowski in the pre-draft process. Okay, now it's time for the Denver Broncos and find out where they go.
With the 46th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select KJ Hamler, wide receiver, Penn State.
Okay, they are clearly surrounding their quarterback, Drew Lock, who they took in the second round last year out of Missouri, with some weapons. They got Jerry Jeudy in the first round, and now, Lewis, they get KJ Hamler, who all he did his freshman year break Saquon Barkley's all-purpose yardage mark. This guy is a big play waiting to happen.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, him and Jerry Jeudy together now, look out, AFC West. Now the Denver Broncos have got some speed, and they are on the map as far as big play-making ability. You see it here. Watch him just avoid the second-level reroute and then sprint down to the middle of the field and catch this touchdown pass, right in front of the goalpost. The kid has 4.27 speed, and he's not just an inside player. He can line up outside, too. But you see what he does here on the slot fade and how he just separates. It's just ridiculous. And his run after the catch skills are something to behold. These slot fades that you see him running from the inside position and running to the back pylon, he's almost virtually uncoverable on those. And the catch and run, this is where him and Jerry Jeudy are just going to be a nightmare for the AFC West.
Absolutely. The one thing he's going to have to work on, his 9 drops in 2019 tied for the 12th most in the FBS, according to ESPN stats and information. And Hamler says, I'm not proud on it, but it's something to work. John Elway seems happy. As a former quarterback, he has to love the first 2 picks he's gotten in this draft. Even the defensive side, head coach Vic Fangio is loving the weapons Drew Lock is going to have to throw to. Stay with us.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
What does it mean to be a good neighbor?
It means being there for each other.
And that's why State Farm is announcing the Good Neighbor Relief Program.
We know that our customers are driving less, which means fewer accidents.
So State Farm's returning $2 billion to auto policyholders for the period ending May 31st.
And we'll continue making real-time decisions to best serve you, our customers.
Because now, more than ever, being a good neighbor means everything. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Let's raise a cup to the risk takers, the mask makers, the heroes on the front line and online, to the ones who suit up and never let us down. From all of us at Dunkin' to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
Now, more than ever, her love keeps you centered. Show her how much she means to you with a gift from the Center of Me collection. Happy Mother's Day from Kay.
First up is this exquisite bowl of French onion dip. I'm going to start the bidding at $5. Thank you, sir. Looking for $6. $6 over there. Do I hear $7? $7 in the front. $7 going once, going twice. Sold to the onion lover in the front row. Next up is lot number 17, a spinach and artichoke dip beautifully set in a hollowed out loaf of sourdough bread.
Don't get mad, get E-Trade and get more than just trading. Investing, banking, guidance.
Service isn't just a department. It's a voice on the other end of the phone.
A note to say you're on our mind. A willingness to come to you.
The world and how we interact with each other is changing, but that will never change who we are at Lexus.
Now, more than ever, you and your needs come first.
Find out what service options are available in your area at lexus.com/people first.
Like leather, skin is stronger when it's hydrated, but 9 out of 10 men don't get the hydration their skin needs. That's why Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash has a unique hydrating formula to keep men's skin healthier and stronger.
Hey, Boston.
Hey, Atlanta.
Hola, Miami.
Local Now is here for you.
Hi, New York. Hey, LA. Chicago.
To get you through life's new normal.
Hey, America.
Trust me, you're going to love this. Come on.
2 tablespoons of sugar.
But kind of near average all
This is the place to be.
Something for everyone. Local Now. Download for free in your favorite app store.
Make sure you visit NFLshop.com tonight for official 2020 draft gear, caps, jerseys, and more, all shipped for free. Also, the NFL is currently providing free complimentary access to NFL Game Pass. Sign up now and you can watch full game broadcasts from previous seasons, Super Bowl classics, old episodes from shows like A Football Life and Hard Knocks, and the All 22 Coaches film, which is always fun. Go to NFL.com/Game Pass for more information. Glad you're with us. We're almost to the halfway point already of the round 2 of the NFL Draft in 2020. So here to help us with the Falcons pick, American Cancer Society ambassador and Grammy-nominated and multi-platform artist Offset. He's here on behalf of his grandmother who fought a tough battle with cancer.
What's happening, NFL? It's your boy Offset, and I'm proud to support the NFL Crucial Catch Program and the American Cancer Society in the fight against cancer. Cancer does not discriminate, as we all know. Your age, race, it doesn't matter. And cancer patients and survivors are extremely vulnerable to the COVID-19. To learn more about how you can support and help, visit cancer.org. And now, I'm excited to let you guys know y'all gonna see my pick. Yes, sir, in my city, Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons, my pick. Yes, sir. Let's get it.
Offset, thank you for all you do in the fight against cancer. We're proud to work alongside the American Cancer Society to make this disease a thing of the past. With the 47th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Marlon Davidson, defensive tackle, Auburn.
Well, Marlon Davidson teamed up with Derek Brown to put together an absolutely impressive defensive line for the Auburn Tigers, and Gus Malzahn and Kevin Steele, their defensive coordinator. He had an opportunity to jump and enter the draft last year following his third year as a starter, but he decided to come back, and it certainly paid benefits for him. Booger, when you take a look at Marlon Davidson, his weight can be a problem at times. When he's on the right side of about 290, he can be really disruptive off the edge.
Trey, it's only going to be a problem if they leave him at defensive end. 6'3", 300 pounds. He was a defensive end in college. I think he's going to kick down and play 3 technique inside. But when you watch him at defensive end, easily turns his hips, uses his hands well, can get to the quarterback. All traits that are transferable from defensive end down to defensive tackle. I love how physical he plays, understands leverage, the ability to get off blocks. All traits that he can take from the end position and come inside, Mel. I like this pick. I can't wait to see him rush over the guards in the NFL.
Yeah, 12.5 tackles for loss, 7.5 sacks. I mean, he combined for that 1 year. When you talk about the previous 2 seasons, put them together, you wouldn't get that number. So it really came together for Marlon Davidson after being a 4-year starter. Scheme versatility he has. You can play him inside or out. Senior Bowl week really helped this kid. And obviously having Derek Brown on that same defensive front helped Marlon Davidson. But the kind of year he put together in order to become a second-round pick, it had to happen. The production needed to be there, and it was, both in terms of tackles for loss and those 7.5 sacks.
There you see Thomas Dimitroff, the Falcons general manager, very happy with the selection there, getting the kind of player that Dan Quinn likes to build his defense off. Dan Quinn obviously very happy as well. They've been trying to get that edge rusher for a while, and there's Arthur Blank, the owner and chairman of the Atlanta Falcons, also chiming in and happy to see Marlon Davidson of Auburn go to the Atlanta Falcons. And there is Marlon realizing the moment has indeed finally sunk in. So now we go to check in on the Seattle Seahawks. There's Pete Carroll and the general manager. Well, it's the family of general manager John Schneider, to be accurate. Let's see where Seattle is going.
The New York Jets have traded the 48th pick to the Seattle Seahawks. With the 48th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Darrell Taylor, defensive end, Tennessee.
All right, he played outside linebacker at Tennessee, had 8.5 sacks as a redshirt senior, and DJ, one of the only 3 Vols ever to have a 4-sack game.
Yeah, somebody that was hurt this year, but you go back to 2018, you see the get-off right here, the explosiveness that he has coming off the edge. He's got a nice little stutter bull move where he'll set up tackles, then go right through their pads. Just didn't get to see the same guy this year, Booger, because he just wasn't healthy. But I was told this was a potential trade-back scenario for the Seattle Seahawks right outside the first round. Instead, they come up in the second round to get their guy.
Defensive line coach I talked to during this process, they all raved about Taylor, and the word they used is juice. This young man has juice off the edge, and he also has a plan. Not many guys come from college to the NFL understanding how to rush the passer with the plan, counter moves. His base move is a long arm to power. He understands how to get off. His repertoire will increase in the NFL. But Trey, so far, you can see what the Seattle Seahawks are doing. Lean off the edge, power, love what Taylor does.
So they went linebacker, and now they've gone Darrell Taylor, someone that Booger mentioned as one of the most intriguing players in this draft, and that's why John Schneider's getting dapped up from the family. We'll see what happens as we continue. We are halfway through the second round.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
Wouldn't it be nice to eat with some of your old friends? Like the Chalupa Supreme, beefy 5-layer burrito, and more. Order ahead and get your $5 Chalupa Cravings box at Taco Bell's contactless drive-thru.
Some of my best memories growing up were cooking with Mom. She always said, food is love. So when she moved in with us, a new kitchen became part of our financial plan.
There was a dream.
I want to make the most of every meal we have together.
At Northwestern Mutual, our version of financial planning helps you live your dreams today. Find a Northwestern Mutual advisor at nm.com.
In nearly 100 years serving the military community, we've seen you go through tough times.
And every time, you've shown us you're much tougher.
Your heart, courage, and commitment has always inspired us.
And now it's no different.
So we're here with financial strength, stability, and experience you can depend on.
And the online tools you need. Because you have always set the highest standard.
And reaching that standard is what we're made for.
How do your teeth get a dentist clean feeling? Start with a round brush head. Add power, and you've got Oral-B, Oral-B's Round Brush Head surrounds each tooth to remove more plaque. For a superior clean, Round cleans better. Oral-B.
As the nation's doctor, I often get asked, what should I do if I think I might have coronavirus?
People who are sick should stay home. You don't go to an emergency room. You don't go to a clinic. You get on the phone and you ask for advice and instructions from your physician.
We don't want you to go into the ER or the doctor's office without talking to them first because you might spread coronavirus to someone else. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
Welcome back. We are halfway through the second round of the 2020 NFL Draft. Still waiting for when Jalen Hurts, the Oklahoma quarterback, and of course the Alabama quarterback before that, will wait to hear his name called. The Steelers are on the clock. There you see head coach Mike Tomlin and Kevin Colbert, the vice president and general manager, going through some things. Under the new playoff format, the Steelers would have been the 7th seed in the AFC last year, despite all their quarterback issues. But the pick is in. Let's find out where Pittsburgh is going.
Come on, let's go. With the 49th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Chase Claypool, wide receiver, Notre Dame.
All right, Chase Claypool went from Abbotsford, British Columbia to South Bend, and now he's going to the confluence of the three rivers, the Ohio, the Allegheny, and the Monongahela. Chase Claypool had a really, really strong combine, but he grew up in Abbotsford, British Columbia, so he threw up his film on Facebook, something he did for fun, and then all of a sudden, he got a ton of offers. And again, what's impressive about that 40 time is how big he is, 6'4", 238 pounds. Only Calvin Johnson ran faster at that size. So here's what we're talking about. Chase Claypool from Abbotsford, British Columbia, and then went to Vancouver and far away from Seattle. That's how far away it is. Michael, what do we think? We're starting with his high school football here, and this is some of the stuff that we saw and talked about when Chase was putting it up from Abbotsford Senior Secondary School. I think we all recall the fond days of Abbotsford Senior Secondary School in British Columbia, but he wasn't really getting any attention. So he decided to throw some up on Facebook, and Michael, it got people's attention, and now he's drafted by the Steelers.
Yeah, and what a great pickup with Ben Roethlisberger coming back to expand on that receiving group that they have right there. And we talked about this all day, Trey. I mean, these are big guys that can run. You talked about that 4.42 and can go up and get the ball, just like you see right there. 13 touchdowns last season for Notre Dame, the most since Will Fuller had 14 back in 2015. This man is a touchdown machine that will do well with Ben Roethlisberger and that receiving group.
Kurt, what do we think about this weapon for Ben Roethlisberger?
Well, I love it. When you look at this team, I mean, they're built in, around so many different things. They're good up front on defense. They've got the secondary. They've got the offensive line. And so I love that they add another weapon on the outside, some good young receivers to build around Juju Smith-Schuster. Big Ben's going to be happy. He gets healthy. I like where Pittsburgh is at.
All right. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, let's go back to Commissioner Roger Goodell.
With the 50th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Jalen Johnson, defensive back, Utah.
So Jalen Johnson is now off the board, and was a very interesting story. Found out after the season he played the entire year at Utah with a torn labrum. He had a tackling drill that went awry in camp early on, but he stayed and decided to play through the entire season. And he was surprised as anybody, Mel, that he was a second-team All-American despite playing with that torn right labrum the entire year.
That's the thing, the shoulder injuries, and I think that's the thing, durability with Jalen Johnson. He is a guy who brings length to that quarterback position. We thought about maybe the Minnesota Vikings at some point would like Jalen Johnson, about a 6-foot corner with that length to handle those physical wide receivers in the NFL that bring size. He has good anticipation, Daniel. I like Jalen Johnson. I just hope he can stay healthy, DJ, coming back from that shoulder. Played through it, which showed his toughness, but he has had those injuries at Utah. And if he's on the field, he was an impressive cornerback for the Utes.
Yeah, I thought he was the third best cornerback in this draft class, Mel, and I think if he didn't have the shoulder issue, he'd be long gone by this point in time. So for Ryan Pace to be able to do what he's done in this draft, get Cole Kmet and then back it up with getting a big-time corner like Jalen Johnson, no first-round pick for the Bears, but I think you can make an argument they got 2 first-round players.
And there you see the reaction all the way around in Fresno, California. As he puts the Bears cap on, Jalen Johnson is now going to be a part of that defense that has a lot of weapons on it for the Chicago Bears. Meanwhile, as we continue through the second round here of the draft, let's go back one more time to Commissioner Roger Goodell.
As the Dallas Cowboys are on the clock, all of us in the National Football League extend our sincere condolences to Dak Prescott, whose brother Jace passed away yesterday. Dak, our thoughts are with you and your family.
Category 3 hurricane left more than 1 million people without power.
Some of the effects of the superstorm leveled an entire community.
Tornadoes struck in the early...
We've always tried to be there when you and your home have needed us most. Working together to keep your home working. It's just what we do. What we've always done. What we'll continue to do. Because home is what unites us.
State Farm is announcing the Good Neighbor Relief Program.
We're returning $2 billion to our auto policyholders through May 31st.
Because now, more than ever, being a good neighbor means everything. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
We could never do what they do. But what we can do is be a partner that never quits. Verizon is the most reliable network in America, built for interoperability and puts first responders first, giving their calls priority 24/7. We do what we do best, so they can too.
My time is thin, but so is my lawn.
It's been worn down to ugly, thin grass. Now there's Scott's Thicker Lawn, the 3-in-1 solution with a soil improver to strengthen roots, seed to fill in gaps, and fertilizer to feed. The result? Up to a 50% thicker lawn after just one application.
Now yard time is our time.
This is a Scott's Yard. Download the Scott's My Lawn app for your personalized plan.
Blessings and prayers to everyone as we're all affected by this virus. And I want to send a special shout out to all the frontline workers.
To everyone, want to say stay healthy, stay inside. I'm going to say thank you to all the doctors and nurses, all the healthcare workers. We know you guys are battling this thing for us, and we really appreciate you guys. So for myself, I want to give love to everyone. Love you guys. Take care.
Round 2 of the draft continues. Mel, give us your best available still out there.
Pure running back J.K. Dobbins. He is fierce. Zach Bond has versatility at linebacker. Denzel Mims coming from that Baylor offense needs to transition to the pro level. May take a little bit of time for him, but he is gifted. He is a freak from a physical and athletic standpoint. Josh Jones, I thought, had a solid year at Houston, worthy of being in consideration as a late first, early second. I really like Justin Madubuike from Texas A&M. He collapses that interior. That's what today's game's all about. It's not stay at home. It's get into that backfield and wreak havoc. Justin Madubuike is going to be a really good pick. I thought he was worthy of being maybe a pick between 25 and 40. Here he is still on the board. Now we're getting toward the later portion of round 2.
And there, Mel, you see A.J. Epinesa, the Iowa defensive end, one of the 5-star recruits that have been there for a while, had been there in a long time. His family had connection to Iowa. We'll see when he comes off the board. Meanwhile, we talk a lot about Cliff Kingsbury's crib and where he was saying Jerry Jones is spending his time on his $250 million luxury yacht. I mean, that's a pretty good flex for a lot of people. And there's the chair that represents Mike McCarthy, where he would be if he was actually in the chair. But the pick is in. Let's go to the commissioner.
With the 51st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Trevon Diggs, defensive back, Alabama.
All right, so the Cowboys thought they might go defensive back in the first round. Instead, CeeDee Lamb fell to him, and now Trevon Diggs, the younger brother of Stephon Diggs, is going to be a member of the Dallas Cowboys. By the way, the first ever NFL game Trevon Diggs went to, it was the Minneapolis Miracle game, in which his older brother Stephon scored the only walk-off touchdown in NFL postseason history as time expired, as the Vikings went on to beat the Saints in that game. And in fact, here is the game. I mean, if you're going to go to one, this is kind of bad, because what's going to live up to that for your next NFL game? But he was so happy to see his big brother do that. Of course, now he's with the Bills. So, Lewis, what are we thinking about Trevon Diggs here?
Look, I'll tell you what, when you get off the bus as a corner, this is what you want to look like. A guy who's 6'1", 205, easy, fluid hips, and has the deep speed to go ahead and get on his horse and cover the deep routes. He's a guy who's proficient in press coverage. You see here, he uses a soft motor, jams a wide receiver, and kind of just fades to the sideline on the slot fade and can make the pick. He can do all the things you need him to do. He just needs to do them consistently. Because at 6'1", 205 pounds, there should be no route that he can't cover, and there is no route that he can't cover. It's just a matter, again, of doing it consistently over and over. He's been schooled by the very best in Nick Saban. They know how to get corners ready to play in the NFL, and DJ, this guy should be a good player if he can hit his potential.
Yeah, size, athletic ability, and ball skills. And when I watched him, Lewis, I saw Aqib Talib. That's who he reminded me of, Aqib Talib coming out of college. Just an unbelievable ability to locate and then catch the football up above the rim like a wide receiver as a former wide receiver. Tremendous talent there that I thought had a chance to get into the first round at this point in the draft. A nice pick there for the Dallas Cowboys, pairing up with CeeDee Lamb. Good start for Jerry Jones and company.
Clearly an athletic family. A third Diggs brother, Marshawn, was a DB at UAB and was a member of the XFL's Los Angeles Wildcats this past season. Meanwhile, the Rams pick is in. There's Sean McVay and GM Les Snead. Let's go to the commissioner.
The NFL Draft is all about looking forward. One of the things we're truly looking forward to in our 101st season is the opening of a state-of-the-art facility in Los Angeles. It will be home to the Los Angeles Chargers and the Los Angeles Rams. And this next Rams player will call SoFi Stadium home. With the 52nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Cam Akers, running back, Florida State.
Well, this is interesting because, remember, they just moved on from Todd Gurley, and they're getting someone who is on a very short list of things that have been accomplished at Florida State as a running back. He's just the third Seminole to have multiple 1,000-yard rushing seasons. The other two, Warwick Dunn and Dalvin Cook. So if that's the trajectory for Cam Akers, the Rams will take it, Mel.
No question. Number one running back in the entire nation coming out of high school. Everybody wanted him. LSU, Alabama, Georgia. Think about him, quarterback coming out. You think about a guy with the production he had when he had help from the offensive line. This past year, obviously, you think about went over 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns, 30 receptions. I think you look at him, he had to earn every inch of that real estate. Kid who can make defenders miss, great tackles. I love the way he lowers his shoulder on contact. Needs to be a little bit more sure-handed as a receiver out of the backfield, but he's shown he can do that with more reps. I think you look at Cam Akers as a runner. He's got that knack for finding areas when there's nothing there. You see it there, the vision. Lewis, as a pure runner, Cam Akers, when he got help from that offensive line at Florida State, he was a dynamic performer.
No question about it, Mel. This is a guy who had 5'10", 217 pounds, runs with an attitude, tremendous lower body strength and development, a guy who will break through arm tackles, a guy who will run in Sean McVay's zone scheme as well as you could possibly have a running back run, and he will set the tone. He'll run with an attitude. His production will increase in the passing game. They'll develop that part of it. But this guy sets a tone. This guy has an attitude. This is the kind of guy I'm sure Sean McVay is excited to get into that offense, that high-powered offense out there in L.A.
And it absolutely fills the need for the Rams as they try and rebolster that running game again as they moved on from Todd Gurley, who is now one of, 11 or 12 former number one picks on the offensive side of the ball for the Falcons. Meanwhile, the pick is in for the Philadelphia Eagles.
We're the 53rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. The Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Hurts, quarterback, Oklahoma.
Well, it just got interesting, ladies and gentlemen, as Jalen Hurts is going to Doug Peterson and that Philadelphia offense, and there are a million ways this can go. Jalen Hurts has barely been two completely different quarterbacks. As a freshman, he was the SEC Freshman of the Year at Alabama in 2016, although they lost in that national championship game to Deshaun Watson and Clemson. 2017, he was benched at halftime of the college football national championship game, and then Tua Tagovailoa came on and led Alabama to an overtime win over Georgia, and then he backed up and led Bama to the SEC title after replacing an injured Tua Tagovailoa against Georgia in that SEC championship game. And then he transferred to Oklahoma and was a completely different quarterback, Kurt Warner. 32 passing touchdowns, only 8 interceptions. He had 20 rushing touchdowns as well. Kurt, this is such an intriguing pick.
You're exactly right, Trey. I mean, you got your $100 million man there in Carson Wentz, but when you look at this guy in Jalen Hurts, he's a winner. You talked about it. No matter where he's been, no matter what you ask him to do, he just finds ways to win. And to me, when I look at a guy in the NFL and I say, who does he remind me of? He reminds me of a guy like Russell Wilson. May not be the most polished passer right now, growing in that area, but he can make plays. He can buy time. He can do it with his legs. He can do it with his arm, making big plays as he buys time out of the pocket. I'm fascinated by this pick and how they're going to use him, DJ. Do they put in a package for him so they can get Carson Wentz off the field? Maybe a run package for him, but it's going to be fascinating to see how they use these two guys, DJ.
Yeah, you got a very creative play caller there in Doug Peterson, and you want to use that quarterback run game, but we've seen with Carson Wentz, you just don't know if he's going to be able to hold up. So now you have an opportunity to put some packages together with Jalen Hurts, particularly when you get down there in the red zone, where I think you can get him on the field early. But more than anything else, this is insurance. The Eagles have always invested heavily in the backup quarterback position. This time, Lewis, they do it with draft capital.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Look, Jalen Hurts is someone who right now should be thanking his lucky stars that he goes to get coached by a guy like Doug Peterson. I've said all along many, many times that quarterback development and quarterback success a lot of times is predicated as much on where you go and who you're surrounded with as it is on your own work ethic and your own ability and talent. Going to Philadelphia, playing behind Carson Wentz, being coached by Doug Peterson, you couldn't ask for anything better. I think this is a tremendous opportunity for both the organization and the player, Mel.
No question. I think when you look at Jalen Hurts, 43 career rushing touchdowns, those packages that Daniel talked about, Lamar Jackson, what he's been able to do. He was package quarterback for Joe Flacco when he was a rookie, so he took over late in that season. You look at a guy like Carson Wentz with the injury concerns, and Jalen Hurts is very happy being a backup. He's a great teammate. He's going to work with Wentz. He's going to be happy in that role. He did it at Alabama with Tua. You get a guy who's a tremendous character guy, tremendous teammate for the Philadelphia Eagles, and particularly Carson Wentz, and a guy who will give you the opportunity with that athleticism and, as I say, 43 career rushing touchdowns. You can get him on the field right away as a rookie, even with Carson Wentz as your starting quarterback.
Yeah, I truly understand all the intangibles and everything that everyone is saying about Jalen Hurts, and I have the utmost respect for Howie Roseman and Doug Peterson, especially as a play caller. But this is just a weird pick for a team that's lacking offensive help at the wide receiver position. They still could use another DB or two. Just an interesting situation to draft a quarterback who, at best, I think is a developmental project, putting behind Carson Wentz. Interesting pick here for the Philadelphia Eagles.
Well, Boog, they did get Jalen Reagor, the wide receiver out of TCU, in the first round. And it's just me. I'm looking at this, and I see some Taysom Hill-type plays for what we can do here, because he is strong. We're talking about a guy who was not only the Heisman Trophy runner-up in 2019, but he was a high school power lifter. He maxed out at Oklahoma's Power Day at 585 pounds in squats. So when you're looking... Lewis, real quickly, when you're looking at this in the ways that he can be used, I think with a creative play caller, you could find really dynamic plays out of him this season.
Yeah, you absolutely could. Just think about what New Orleans does with Taysom Hill. I mean, you could do some of the same types of things. You could bring him in and have him be a dual run-pass threat and just take Carson Wentz off the field or leave Carson Wentz on the field. I'm sure Doug has thought about all of that. I'm sure this is something that's been well thought out. And again, I think this is definitely a win for the player in particular. You can argue with whether or not this is the best move for the team, but for the player, it's a slam dunk for Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we just saw that shot of Doug Peterson there. He was almost giddy. He was giggling how happy he was that Jalen Hurts is there. Meanwhile, Buffalo, welcome to your participation in the 2020 draft. You gave up that first-round pick to get wide receiver Stephon Diggs out of Minnesota. And now you have your first pick of the draft. Let's go back to Commissioner Goodell.
Come on, Bills fans, let's go. With the 54th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select A.J. Epinesa, defensive end, Iowa.
So A.J. Epinesa goes to what is already going to be a very, very good defense. And this was a kid who was one of the first five-star recruits to go to Iowa for a while and sat for a while. He's from Glen Carvin, Illinois. As I said, the first five-star recruit there since 2005. But this is a very, very athletic family we're talking about. His father, Epi Epinesa, or actually his real name was Epinesa Epinesa. Hayden Fry used to nickname him Repeat. His mother, Stephanie, played softball and volleyball at Iowa Wesleyan. Sister Sam played volleyball at Purdue from 2012 to 2015. Brother Eric also committed to play football at Iowa. He's going there. And brother Yusei is 13 years old and plays basketball. And of course, A.J. Epinesa also did discus. So we're talking about a guy who did a little bit of everything, but he waited his turn to get on the field. And when he finally did get on the field this year, he produced. And this is him in Illinois as a high schooler competing and becoming the Illinois discus champion. A.J. Epinesa, again, also playing all hoops in his career. Booger, what do we think of this pick?
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting pick because you're looking at a defensive end. I think he's more of a left defensive end, someone that can play over the tight end, and then when you go to your NASCAR package, you can kick him down inside. Iowa played him at the right end. The hips are not as fluid as you would like for a speed rusher coming from the right side, but I do like his position versatility. He can come inside, defensive tackle, also play over the tight end. Good, solid pick. He'll play for 10 years. May never be a double-digit sack guy, but he'll be a very, very productive defensive lineman, Mel.
Strong hands. It brings that edge pressure and inside pressure, Boog. And I think that's the ability. Drive that offensive tackle into the quarterback. He did a great job against Austin Jackson, who went in the first round to the Miami Dolphins, a left tackle at USC. Dominated against Minnesota this year with 2.5 sacks and a forced fumble. He was quiet against Iowa State. But overall, you talk about versatility. To be able to move him inside the defensive tackle in those pass rush situations, get him up against that center guard, he can be a factor. They went for Ed Oliver coming out of Houston, and now you add a guy like A.J. Epinesa. The Bills building up that defensive front the last 2 years in the NFL draft.
had 2.5 sacks and was the defensive MVP in the Holiday Bowl win over USC. Had 11.5 sacks, making the first Iowa player with double-digit sacks in consecutive seasons. The Epinesas are celebrating yet another athletic achievement in a family that is full of them. Stay with us.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
Looks good.
Sure, let me help you with that. Hey, can I
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Safe driver, save 40%. Guys.
Check it out. Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%. That's safe driver, save 40%.
It is. That's Safe Driver Save 40%.
It's right there.
It's him. He's here.
He's right here. Hi.
Hi.
Hey. That's totally him.
That's him.
That's totally the guy.
Safe drivers do save 40%. Click or call for a quote today.
Now, more than ever, her love keeps you centered. Show her how much she means to you with a gift from the Center of Me collection. Happy Mother's Day from Kay.
You know how you cook the patty and you slap that cheese on there and it just all comes together. Can't forget about the bacon.
I taste the sweetness.
I taste the tangy of it.
Oh,
you want to try that?
Yes. Sweet and tangy bacon slinger.
This is the network that connects us all. The network you never think about. It's not always in plain sight, not always obvious, but it's there. And for 30 years, we've been building it. For times like these, when a connection becomes a lifeline. For families, for businesses, and for first responders. You can count on us to keep you connected when it matters most.
Welcome back. Glad you're with us here on day 2, round 2 of the draft. And Microsoft Teams is proud to play an important role in the 2020 NFL Draft. Microsoft Teams, the official collaboration platform of the NFL. And as you can see, with all the coaches and GMs and owners in their own separate locations, we need a lot of collaboration. There are wires everywhere. Why can't I find this wire? What's gone wrong? We're trying to figure out what happens. We understand these things can get a little messy at times. Meanwhile, the next pick is in for the Baltimore Ravens. Let's find out what the Ravens are going to do. Went very defensive heavy in free agency. Let's go to the commish.
With the 55th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select J.K. Dobbins, running back, Ohio State.
Well, we'll wait a few seconds to see if this gets the official Mel Kiper Jr. seal of approval, but it should. J.K. Dobbins is the first Buckeye back in school history to rush for 1,000 or more yards as a freshman, sophomore, and junior. Also became the first running back ever in school history to rush for 2,000 yards or more in a single season. And the only Ohio State running back with more rushing yards than J.K. Dobbins in the annals of Buckeye history, Mel, is Archie Griffin. This one better get your Mel Kiper seal of approval.
It does. People think, well, why not wide receiver, defensive line, interior of the offensive line? Well, J.K. Dobbins is a big-time running back. You have Mark Ingram, Gus Edwards, and Justice Hill. Now you get a guy who could be special running the football. I've always said he runs fierce. got that low center of gravity, really strong legs. He can break the long gainer. This is a kid who, against the best defenses, against 6 defenses that were ranked in the top 13 against the run at the time of the game against Ohio State. In those games, J.K. Dobbins averaged 105 yards per game, 6.5 yards a carry with 11 touchdowns. He's not a great receiver out of the backfield. He had a couple drops, but he's improving. Ball security's been okay, not great. But as a runner, DJ, as a pure running back, he was fun to watch.
No doubt, Mel, and he just runs low to the ground. He's so compact and he's so strong. He's got tremendous balance. Everybody points to those 2 drops in the Clemson game, but I actually, when you watch him throughout the year, I was okay with his hands. I think he'll be able to be more involved in the passing game. This Ravens team with Mark Ingram as a 30-year-old running back, they want to run the football. They do it better than anybody else, and now they've got some young, fresh legs to put in the mix.
Yeah, this is a guy who is absolutely, a workhorse, and he will be a workhorse for Baltimore as well. Look, Ryan Day would run this young man over and over and over again on those inside and outside zones, and he wouldn't quit. There were some times where you would think they can't give him the ball again, and they would give it to him and feed him again, Booger. So I'll tell you what, he is tailor-made as far as work ethic is concerned for what he's going to face in the NFL.
Without a doubt, and you just have to love Baltimore and just how they're committed to a certain style. They're going to come downhill, and you add him with Mark Ingram. I just love the plan that Harbaugh and DeCosta have up there in Baltimore. They're committed to it, and they draft another guy that fits right in, and he'll be very productive in their scheme.
Well, Boog, what you're talking about, what they're committed to, they set the record for the most rushing yards in a single season in NFL history. So to Mel's point, if he was just fun to watch as a running back, he's going to the right team because they are going to pound the rock in Baltimore with Lamar Jackson under center. That's what John Harbaugh wants to do with that unique talent, the reigning NFL MVP at quarterback under center. So it is J.K. Dobbins going to Eric DeCosta, the general manager for the Ravens, and John Harbaugh, the head coach. That means the very, very active in this draft Miami Dolphins are back on the board. They went Robert Hunt, another offensive lineman, with the first of their picks in the second round. Where will Brian Flores and Chris Greer go now?
With the 56th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Raekwon Davis, defensive tackle, Alabama.
All right, Raekwon Davis was a very, very productive player, Booger, at Alabama. What are the Miami Dolphins getting in someone that has been through the Nick Saban system?
Trey, they're getting a long, powerful player. When you look at the 3-4 scheme that he played at Alabama, he can play what I call that 4-eye, which is right inside that tackle. You can reduce him down in pass rushing situations. Has some pass rush ability from a power rush standpoint, some lateral quickness. But I just love the power that he plays with, understanding good leverage. Nick Saban is a very, very good coach of defense, and he will be very technically sound and fundamentally adept and ready to play, Mel.
That's the thing, Booger. I think he can be a force, but he wasn't, after a great start to his college career, getting sacks, getting that production behind the line of scrimmage. He was handled up front. He was good against the run, but you want to see a little bit more pass rush, a little bit more disruption getting after that quarterback. Late in his career, it really never came together for Raekwon Davis, but he does suit defenses like Miami. He'll be a good run stopper, but pass rush is something he's got to improve and develop.
Yeah, absolutely, Mel. In 2017, he had 8.5 sacks and 10.5 tackles for loss. In his final 2 seasons, just 2 sacks and 8.5 tackles for losses. We'll see what happens. The draft continues after this.
What do you look for when you trade?
I want free access to research.
Yep, TD Ameritrade's got that.
Free access to every platform.
Yeah, that too.
I don't want any trade minimums.
Yeah, I totally agree. They don't have any of those.
I want to know what I'm paying up front.
Yes, absolutely.
Do you just say yes to everything?
Well, I say no to kale. Yeah, they say if you blanch it, it's better, but that seems like a lot of work.
Now offering 0 commissions on online trades. We charge you less, so you have more to invest.
Wouldn't it be nice to eat with some of your old friends? Like the Chalupa Supreme, beefy 5-layer burrito, and more. Order ahead and get your $5 Chalupa Cravings box at Taco Bell's contactless drive-thru.
The new house is amazing. So much character.
Original crown molding, walk-in closets.
We do have a rat problem. At least Geico makes bundling our home and car insurance easy.
It does help us save.
For bundling made easy, go to geico.com.
Show me reality. TV.
Where my hobbits at? Play Lord of the Rings.
Play my Straight Out of the Shire playlist.
I want to see the king. Find LeBron.
Search more cartoons.
Play The Last OG.
Take me to the streets. Play Sesame Street.
Me want more cookies.
Find the things you love with the voice command. Introducing AT&T TV with live TV and access to streaming apps. Plug in and watch with easy self-setup. Shipped directly to you.
Fine. No one leaves the table till you're finished.
Fine. We'll sleep here.
It's the easiest because it's the cheesiest. Kraft for the win-win.
In this world where people are staying at home, many of life's moments are being put on hold. At Carvana, we understand that for some, getting a car just can't wait. To help, we're giving our customers up to 90 days to make their first payment. Shop online from the comfort of your couch and get your car with touchless delivery to keep you safe. And for even greater peace of mind, all Carvana cars come with a 7-day return policy. So if you need to keep moving, we're here for you. At Carvana, the safer way to buy a car.
First off, I'd like to say how grateful I am to everyone who reached out to me to express their concern when they heard the news. It means a lot to me. But at the same time, I was very blessed to have only experienced mild symptoms throughout my diagnosis. And I just want to remind everybody we're all in this together. And I just encourage everyone to be there for each other. Be there for your friends, for your family, your neighbors. Just help any way you can. And finally, I just want to thank all the essential businesses that have made these tough times a little bit easier for all of us going through it, especially the doctors and the nurses who are risking their lives. So thank you.
Rams center Brian Elm, the first active player in the NFL that we know of that was diagnosed with COVID-19. Meanwhile, we are looking at the situation here for the Los Angeles Rams. We're still waiting on Jacob Eason and Jake Fromm. These two, of course, are tied together from their time in Georgia. Kurt, what are we thinking about these two quarterbacks?
Well, it's a contrasting in style between these two guys, Trey. You got Jacob Eason, who's the big, strong-arm guy that can really push the ball down the field, and you see some really incredible moments from him with that big arm. And then you have Jake Fromm, who's not the most talented physically, but a really smart quarterback, a winner, 35-7 in his 3 years starting at Georgia. So contrasting styles. I'm interested to see if there's a team that has fallen in love with either one of these guys. Not a lot of dire need at the quarterback position around the league. New England, Jacksonville, a couple young quarterback rooms, but do they go and add another young guy to it, or do they go and get one of those veteran guys like a Jameis Winston, Cam Newton, or maybe even an Andy Dalton that's out there? So fascinated to see where these two guys go in the next couple rounds.
I'm also fascinated to see sort of the same grass pattern behind Sean McVay and his patio that we saw with Cliff Kingsbury in Arizona. May have had the same landscaper from what we're able to pick up here. Meanwhile, it is the Rams that are on the clock. Let's find out where the Rams are going with their pick here in the second round.
Come on, Ram fans. Let's go. With the 57th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Van Jefferson, wide receiver, Florida.
Well, it certainly seems like we have a ton of draftees this year with NFL lineage. He's from Brentwood, Tennessee, started his career at Ole Miss, then transferred to Florida. But by the way, father, Sean, wide receiver for 13 years in the NFL from 1991 to 2003 and has played in 2 Super Bowls. And Sean is currently the wide receiver coach from the New York Jets. And there is Sean with Van, the two of them together, watching him grow up and play through the years. So there is football lineage all the way around, as Van Jefferson is now a member of the Los Angeles Rams. And again, Sean Jefferson played for 13 seasons in the NFL, and now Van's going to try and do that. And here you see Sean catching pass and feeding, among others, Junior Seau to the end zone for the score, DJ. What do we think about Van?
I think he's one of the elite route runners in this draft class, Trey. And it was a guy that everybody around the league seemed to be targeting in that third round range. And anytime that happens, you know somebody's going to go ahead and do it in the second round. He's creative in his release off the line of scrimmage. He's polished at the top of his rush, or at the top of the route. And he's got incredibly strong hands. Also was a gunner on punt. He's very tough. I thought he compared to Cooper Kupp. That's who I compared him through the entire process. And now he's got Cooper Kupp as a teammate. Pristine route runner here, Michael.
Yeah, and DJ, I love this kid too. I love his father. He's a very good friend of mine. So you know what you're talking about is this kid's a technician in the game of football. It's not just about knowing how to get open. It's also about knowing when to be open. He's very, very good at that. A great pickup for this football team.
Well, listen, with Van Jefferson off the board, he's now the 12th wide receiver taken in this year's draft, tying with 2014 for the most wide receivers in the first 2 rounds in common draft history. So that means if Mike Zimmer, the Vikes head coach, or Rick Spielman, the Vikes general manager, or any of these other final few picks in the second round land on a wide receiver, this would be the most prolific first 2 wide receiver rounds in NFL draft history. Let's see what the Vikings do.
Go! With the 58th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Ezra Cleveland, tackle, Boise State.
Well, pretty much the opposite of the wide receiver. It is an offensive lineman, and it is Ezra Cleveland. And I'm going to tell you something that's significant as he just got the news. The former Boise State left tackle started the last 3 seasons for the Broncos. And by the way, why is this important? Well, the last 5 multi-year starters at left tackle for Boise State were all NFL draftees and started in the league several years. He was a big kid. How big? He was born 3 weeks early, and he weighed 11 pounds at birth. They said if he'd gone to term, he would have been a 15-pound baby. He's a big baby, and now the Vikings are hoping he's a big player, Lewis, for them.
Yeah, look, he is. He's 6'6", 311 pounds, ran 4.93 in the 40. Now, you would like for him to play that way, the way he tests. He doesn't always play that way, but look, he's young and he's developing there on the left side. He's a guy who's got good technique. When he keeps his pads down, you see right here what can happen. He can take defensive ends who line up in a 6 technique over him or in a 5 technique over him and just put them on the ground. He's a guy who, when you climbs up on the second level, he can use that big body to shield second level defenders out of the way, and he's effective in that way as well. When he gets out on the perimeter, look, he has the athleticism to chase people down and make those kind of second level blocks out there in space on jet sweeps and on screens and on second level runs. He just needs to tie it all together, play a little bit stronger, play with more consistent pad level, but he's somebody who people told me his stock was rising as the draft approached.
Well, he is off the board now in Minnesota. An uncle of his said that Ezra would grow up to be 6'4" and 250 pounds. Let's just say he undershot that because he ended up at 6'6", 311 pounds. In other words, he's added 300 pounds since birth. Stay with us.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft. Presented by Lowe's.
My mentality was to go out and win at any cost.
guardians of the grass, navigators of the turf, and keepers of the green. To the rural ramblers, back to the landers, head turners, and stripe earners. Run with us on a John Deere mower, because this is more than just grass. It's home. Search John Deere mowers for more.
At Domino's, we pride ourselves on handcrafted pizza. But after leaving our 450-degree ovens, the only hands that touch them are yours. Mix and match any two or more for just $5.99 each and get them with contactless delivery from Domino's.
Back to the 2020 draft round 2, closing out the second round here with just a few picks left. Mel, give me your best available players out there, brought to you by Lowe's.
Well, you look at those wide receivers, and you see a group there. Denzel Mims coming out of Baylor with all that talent, freakish talent. Devin Duvernay, all that production in the slot for Texas. And Mr. Versatility, running back, wide receiver, kick returner, Antonio Gibson from Memphis. And, of course, Brian Edwards, South Carolina wide receiver. Had some injury issues, but I tell you, he can get it done. He is a very underrated wideout. Lynn Bowden Jr. had to play quarterback and did a great job. Before that, he looked like Antoine Randall as a receiver, slot guy, return man. Love Lynn Bowden Jr. To go and do what he did this year, selfless play quarterback and win football games, and really save that Kentucky season. Pretty remarkable what Lynn Bowden Jr. accomplished.
He's actually fascinating, and where you could play him and the things you could do, because he went back to quarterback at Kentucky and what he did in high school. He put up incredible numbers this year for Kentucky. Meanwhile, there's Adam Gase, the Jets head coach, and Joe Douglas. Hey, say hi. We're all good. We're happy to have you. This is part of the draft in 2020. We're excited to see families working together. And then there's Joe Douglas, hard at work with 5 screens on him. Where will the Jets go? They got their big offensive tackle, Mekhi Becton, and by big, I do mean big, 6'7", 365 pounds in the first round. So what are they going to do here with pick number 59? Overall in the second round, the 27th pick in the draft. Let's find out together as Roger Goodell is ready to make the announcement on what the Jets, Adam Gase, and Joe Douglas are going to do.
Come on, Jet fans. I haven't heard any Jet boos. Let's go. Come on, let's go. That's Jet fans. That's good. With the New York Jets pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jets select Denzel Mims, wide receiver, Baylor.
The Baylor Bear is finally off the board. Denzel Mims is going to be the new target for Sam Darnold to throw to. Remember, they lost Robbie Anderson, their big play wide receiver, in free agency. Again, this is a guy who is fast. That 4.38 840 was third most among wide receivers. Set all kinds of records at Baylor. Michael Irvin, this is a guy who can make every catch imaginable.
Yes, he can, Trey, and you're right. You're absolutely right. I talked to Robbie Anderson. He did not want to leave New York, but he's very happy to be in Carolina with Bridgewater. But they need to replace that speed, that production that he gave him. I know they signed my old roommate's son, Rashard Perriman, but this is added speed, added depth for them in the wide receiver position. Denzel Mims, a 4.38 40. This kid can absolutely run. I got a chance to watch him a lot. He's right up the street from me here in Baylor. He's going to be a great pickup for the Jets.
Yeah, and Michael, he's not asked to run all the routes on the route tree there in that Baylor offense, but what you see is somebody that can win at the line of scrimmage and somebody that makes some unbelievably acrobatic catches down the field. So he's going to win on those contested 50-50 balls, as we're watching on the highlights right here. That's going to be a big benefit for Sam Darnold. You see him go big, powerful offensive lineman to protect Sam Darnold in the first round. Now they give him a big weapon on the outside. So Joe Douglas doing some work here for the New York Jets.
Mel, what do you think?
Well, look at Mims. I think you look at a guy who still is a little raw. When you come out of Baylor's offense, it may take a year to transition, but the talent that he possesses is rare. To have a kid with that kind of catch radius, that kind of arm length. You're talking about a guy almost 6'3", 210 pounds. Vertical jump over 38, 4.38 speed. The production's there. The hands are there. It's basically just adjusting to an NFL system and running the kind of routes, being precise, getting that timing down with Sam Darnold, with quarterback with the Jets.
But listen, he had 2 seasons with at least 1,000 receiving yards for Matt Rule at Baylor, so we'll see what happens there. The chair that is Bill Belichick's representation and Nick Caserio, the director of player personnel, they've made a trade. They have moved up. So what will Bill Belichick and Nick Caserio get together and get done? We'll figure this out because we're still trying to figure out what they're going to do at the quarterback position. I don't know if you heard, but this offseason, Tom Brady is not there anymore. He is now a member of the Tampa Bay Bucks. So the pick is in for the New England Patriots, and we're going to figure out in just a few moments what's going on there. And now we believe we have everything squared away. Let's go find out what the Patriots are doing at pick 60.
The Baltimore Ravens have traded the 60th pick to the New England Patriots. With the 60th pick, in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Josh Uche, linebacker, Michigan.
So Josh Uche, linebacker from Michigan, is now off the board. And if you think about it, this is a very, very Patriot kind of pick, as everybody is happy in Miami, Florida, for Josh Uche and where he's going. Hometown of Miami. His father emigrated here from Nigeria. He didn't start a game until his senior year at Michigan. In fact, another linebacker that's draftable at Michigan, Khaleke Hudson, every once in a while would come off the field, Lewis, just to get Uche on the field, and now he's off the board first.
But you're right, this is the typical New England Patriot pick, a guy who can play multiple positions. As a linebacker, he can play on the line of scrimmage and rush the passer. He can stack off the ball and play in a 4-3. He can stack off the ball and play a 3-4. But the thing he can really do is get after the passer, because he's got tremendous first step quickness, and then he's got power. And he's got power to rush the passer, power to stand up tight ends and offensive tackles in the run game, and he has got an instinctive nose for the football. He always seems to be around the ball, never gives up. He's got tremendous speed. He's got tremendous tackling ability, strong upper body. He's just one of those guys who you just wonder, why didn't he play even more for the Michigan Wolverines? He should have never come off the field, because he's that multi-positional player that Bill Belichick is going to find a way to turn into a superstar.
Yeah, he broke out this senior season. Team high 8.5 sacks and 11.5 sacks for loss. Josh Uche is good. Remember, they lost a lot of defensive players in free agency. Nick Caserio getting the kind of player that the Patriots have been very effective in using over the years. Hi, Bill. Bill made a catch.
You know, you've already got a home team. Willie, Lauren, Steven, Deborah. 300,000 members of a team working hard to keep your home working for you. Because home is what unites us.
Yo, Dad, come play some ball. You're not my dad.
I'm not your dad. Of course I'm your dad's son. If I wasn't your dad, would I be able to do this?
What are you doing?
I'm doing this. Make a swish. Uh-oh. Jake from State Farm.
Here's the deal. There's no replacing the real Chris Paul.
Not my car.
Just like there's no replacing State Farm.
Come on, man. Stop trying to be me.
You want the real deal? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
If we weren't able to stream anything, I think they'd be lost.
We're all home right now. That's why Verizon is giving you more of the entertainment you want.
Daily is usually watching a TV show, and McKenna is almost always listening to music.
We love Verizon.
I get the shows I need when I need them. Now, unlimited plans come with your favorite artists on Apple Music, shows and movies on Disney Plus, and over 70 top channels of live TV with YouTube TV.
Music plays a huge role in our family. That's how we connect.
Plans start at just $35 so your family can mix, match, and save. Shop online today, only at Verizon.
You go from hungry to hangry.
I do get A's. I get A, B, and C's.
At a time when everyone feels so far apart, families can still keep their distance together. For contactless ordering and payment, order ahead in the Sonic app.
When we first opened our doors, it didn't take us long to realize.
We weren't in the car business.
At Lexus, we were in the people business.
We needed to be helpful,
respectful,
and compassionate.
To treat people like guests.
It's what we all signed up for.
And now when people need this most, we will do what we've always done.
Take care of people first.
The rest will follow.
Hold my pouch. Trust us. Us kids are ready to take things into our own hands. Don't think so? Hold my pouch.
While we're all home, social distancing, Meals on Wheels volunteers are on the front lines across every community, responding to older Americans who are most in need, delivering food and a reassurance to millions of seniors that they are not alone right now. Because of the tireless commitment of these heroes everywhere, humanity is winning. Support Meals on Wheels now by donating at nfl.com/relief.
And there you see our message to people as they drive by our campus here in Bristol. We are all in this together. Help us make a difference now. Huddle up for COVID-19 relief efforts and join players, teams, fans, and communities around the country in the NFL Draft-a-thon. If we unite behind this cause, we can provide relief for those significantly impacted by the pandemic. Every dollar counts. Do what you can when you can. Visit nfl.com/relief to donate now. Well, the Tennessee Titans are back on the clock, and I'm a little disappointed in what I see behind Mike Vrabel, the head coach, because his setup in his house last night was a question of a lot of controversy through the first round of the draft, and we decided to dial it back a little bit here in day two. John Robinson, the executive VP and general manager there as well. Let's see where the Tennessee Titans are going.
They remember the draft last year. With the 61st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Christian Fulton, defensive back, LSU.
So Christian Fulton, another member of that LSU secondary that has been so draftable over the years, is now off the board. Now, he had his issues at LSU. He was slapped with a 2-year ban at one point for trying to pass a PED test with someone else's urine. It eventually was, first, his appeal of that was denied, and then 8 days before the start of the season, it was reduced to just 1 year. And the Fulton family knows exactly what this country is going through with the pandemic. The family is gathering in New Orleans for the draft, but without one of Christian's biggest fans. His grandfather, Lewis Fulton, died 2 weeks ago because of COVID-19. Fulton said about his grandfather, he'd be really proud, and we know the New Orleans area is one of the hardest hit in the country by the coronavirus outbreak. So Christian Fulton has had his ups and downs on the field and away from the field. Daniel Jeremiah, as you see this product as he gets set to go to Tennessee, what should he be expecting?
Well, I think you're talking about a top 50 player. He was my 5th corner in this year's draft class, so I think there's some value here with this pick for the Tennessee Titans. He plays the game very smart. He's a fluid athlete, and he's ultra competitive. You see that competitiveness show up when the ball's up in the air. You also see it when he's a force player against the run. Now, he gave up some plays down the field, and I think he got dinged a little bit for that. But you've got to remember, LSU's offense was blowing the doors off every team they played, so the ball was up in the air constantly. And on the opposite side of Fulton is the most talented corner in college football in Derek Stingley Jr. So he got challenged a bunch. He made a bunch of plays. He gave up some plays. But I think this is a good value pick here for the Tennessee Titans.
All right, Daniel, thanks very much. Yeah, I think he was the number 1 rated recruit, number 3 summer cornerback in the nation, according to ESPN, when he signed there as a freshman in 2016. So they get Isaiah Wilson, and now John Robinson. High fives all the way around as they get their guy, Christian Fulton, the cornerback out of LSU. And obviously good times for Christian Fulton and his family as they see that he is going with the team that made it all the way to the AFC Championship game. All right, the Green Bay Packers made a very interesting pick in the first round as Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur went with the quarterback, Jordan Love. What will they do with their pick in the second round? Let's find out.
Go, Pack, go! With the 62nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select A.J. Dillon, running back, Boston College.
Well, I think Aaron Rodgers will be okay with this pick, ladies and gentlemen, because he gets himself a skill position player. And A.J. Dillon skillfully rewrote the record book for running backs at Boston College. He left the program there with career rushing records for yards, rushing yards, all-purpose yards, rushing touchdowns, and total touchdowns. And also had a pretty impressive combine, ran a 4.53 40 in Indianapolis. Lewis, what do we make about this kid who was so productive on Chestnut Hill?
Well, you've got a guy who is absolutely a between the tackles just hammer. That's where he lives. This is a guy who was a power, counter, inside zone type of runner that is going to punish people at the point of attack. He's not going to really avoid you too much, but you're going to bounce off of that big, strong lower body, and he's going to get tons of yardage after initial contact. He's a guy who runs with tremendous competitiveness. He has good speed. He will make it challenging for second-level defenders to run him down. I'll tell you this, he's a workhorse. He's the kind of guy who really does fit what the Packers are looking for as far as a first and second down back is concerned, and a change of pace.
No question, Lou. You think about a 250-pounder with a 41 vertical. Needs a few more reps catching the football, but he had 845 carries during his career at Boston College. That's second only of the top-rated running backs to Jonathan Taylor. So that's a lot of tread on those tires, but he held up pretty well. Decent vision, good burst through that hole, good body lean, effective stiff arm. I'll tell you, you look at a guy like A.J. Dillon as a complimentary big back with a lot of athleticism and a lot of production. Booger, A.J. Dillon's going to be tough for those linebackers to try to deal with on that second level.
Yeah, he's the 2020 version of what Derrick Henry is in Tennessee. A big back with above average athletic ability, has the speed. When he gets in the open, he can take it to the house. But more than anything, he's going to be a complimentary back. When you look at Green Bay, they have Aaron Jones, who's a slasher. He's a guy that can get outside. But if they want to pound it down the middle and pound it inside, now they have a 250-pound back in A.J. Dillon.
Well, A.J. Dillon's maternal grandfather is a man named Tom Gatewood, who was an All-American wide receiver at Notre Dame. He also became the first black captain in Notre Dame history and a member of the College Football Hall of Fame. He was a fifth-round pick of the Giants in 1972. And then one day, Dillon started digging through some photos to see his grandfather in action, and he said, "My God, look at us. We're almost identical." The pictures of how Tom Gatewood played and the moves he made were almost identical to the ones A.J. Dillon was making. It's the highest drafted running back, by the way, for the Green Bay Packers since Eddie Lacy went there in 2013. So the 247-pound New London, Connecticut product is now a member of the Green Bay Packers. We are at pick 31 here for the Kansas City Chiefs. Boy, if there's one thing you can guarantee in life, and Lewis, you know this as well as anybody, when Andy Reid has the chance to wear a Tommy Bahama shirt, he is wearing that Tommy Bahama shirt. It was a blue background floral print on night one, and he's mixing it up a little bit, sort of a cream beige background with some floral prints for Andy Reid in round 2. Brett Veach is looking much more businesslike. So look, they thought they got a perfect fit for them. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back in the first round. Lewis, let's start with you. What do you think Kansas City is looking at here at the back end of round 2?
Yeah, I think they're looking at defense. I think they're looking at defensive speed, wherever that may come from. They need somebody who can run and hit. Now, they need linebackers. They need playmakers at that position. That'd be the first spot I would be looking at. And then they also need more corners. They need more cover guys. But I think speed is what is going to be the name of the game here for the defensive side of the football, because they've got it for days on the offensive side.
Mel, what about you?
You can look at Justin Madubuike, defensive lineman from Texas A&M, Zach Vaughn, linebacker, Wisconsin, Jeremy Chin, safety, Southern Illinois. You think about some of the defensive backs available in this draft. Cameron Dantzler didn't run well at the combine, but had a really good year in coverage for Mississippi State. Good football players. So there are still some really good defensive players on the board as we get near the end of round 2.
DJ, what are you thinking here as we see the brain trust for Kansas City?
Well, look, Trey, when you listen to Lewis talk about getting some speed, they just need guys that can play the pass because their offense is going to run up the score. They've got to be able to play against the pass on the defensive side of the ball. So at the linebacker position, a guy like Logan Wilson from Wyoming, who, for my money, is one of the best covered linebackers in this draft class. I think this is about the range where he comes off the board and it'd fill a need.
All right, let's find out what Kansas City is going to do. They went running back in round 1. Let's see what the Super Bowl champs do here.
Champs, come on, you Super Bowl champs. That guy looks familiar. With the 63rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Kansas City Chiefs select Willie Gay, linebacker, Mississippi State. Here goes Chiefs.
All right, so it is a linebacker, Willie Gay, but has some off-field issues. He was suspended 8 games by the NCAA for academic violations. 9 other Mississippi State players were also suspended, part of that. And then he injured Mississippi State quarterback Garrett Schrader in practice in a fight before the Music City Bowl. That, according to multiple media reports. So there are some things that come along with a player like Willie Gay here. But Mel Kiper, just as what he can be on the field, if all of that is not a problem, what are the Chiefs getting?
Tell you what, you got a kid who started 6 of 31 career games. Say why a second-round pick is because of physical and athletic talent. 6'1" and change, 240-plus pounds. He can run to the football. He had some games that really got your attention. Go back to 2018. 6 starts, 48 tackles, had 5 sacks and 2 interceptions. This past year, obviously very limited in terms of production, but he's the kind of guy with his speed to the football, DJ, and the kind of talent. If he can stay focused on the job at hand, maximize all that talent, Kansas City gets a first-round caliber athlete without the production pushing him into round 2, DJ.
And Mel, I talked to 7 or 8 teams about Willie Gay and said, is he on your board or is he off your board? Every single team said he's absolutely on our board. We've done our homework. We've met with the kid. The academic issues, they got the right answers there. He owned up to his mistakes there. I was told that the incident with the teammate was a little bit overblown. I got good background reports when I talked to the folks at Mississippi State. So I think teams were comfortable with him. And when you look at him on the field, the speed, you notice it in a hurry, Trey.
Well, DJ, he helped himself at the combine. At 6'1", 243, he ran the 40 in 4.46. That was second only to Isaiah Simmons. And if Simmons is the only guy that beat you, it's pretty good. Meanwhile, that's a mosaic of Chief fans having fun. And wait, is that Andy Reid up there in the corner? Is that Andy Reid there? It's incredible how many people look like Andy Reid. That's actually Eric Stonestreet from Modern Family. And we appreciate the efforts.
Yo, Dad, you're not my dad.
I'm not your dad. Of course I'm your dad, son. If I wasn't your dad, would I be able to do this? Uh-oh.
Oh, my God.
You want the real deal? Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
FX on Hulu, the pure premium brand. Free with every Hulu subscription. Over 40 original series. Over 1,400 episodes. The award-winning collection. And exclusive FX originals. Only on Hulu. FX on Hulu.
Now, more than ever, her love keeps you centered. Show her how much she means to you with a gift from the Center of Me collection. Happy Mother's Day from Kay.
No, this ain't no sandwich, because on a sandwich, they ask you if you want cheese. But on a papadilla, cheese is what's holding the whole operation together. Get one now for just $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
At Sprint, our priority is keeping our customers, employees, and communities safe. During these uncertain times, we want you to get the great service you expect without leaving the safety of your home. Sprint.com makes shopping easier by offering free next-day shipping and no activation fees on our best new phone deals, like the amazing iPhone 11 for just $15 a month when you switch. For now, Sprint.com is the best way to learn about our plans, buy new phones, and get the services you need. Stay healthy and go to Sprint.com today.
This is kind of a first for all of us. But maybe this is a time to put other things first, like being the first to check in, or the first to try your hand at the culinary arts, or all the arts. Be the first to volunteer, or the first to say it's all going to be okay. And when the day comes where we're no longer looking at our worlds from the inside out, it will be what we did in here that will make us stronger out there.
Glad you're with us for day 2 of the draft, and you want to make sure you tune in for night 2 of The Last Dance, episodes 3 and 4 about the Bulls dynasty in the 90s. And again, I have all these wonderful tidbits I can tell you that would entice you to watch. I'm just going to read this one line, highlighted by Dennis Rodman. Pretty much all you need to know. Sunday, 9 o'clock, the swearing version, ESPN2, the non-swearing version. I mean, if you're going to go all on the Bulls, you want to go all in. Meanwhile, Carolina Panthers, Marty Herney's chair is being represented there in that picture, but there's Matt Rule, who has gone heavy on the defensive side of the ball with the first couple of picks, getting Derek Brown in round 1 and Yetur Gross-Matos out of Penn State in the second round. Remember, they gave up 29.4 points per game last year, the worst in franchise history. The Rule restoration has begun, trying to transform that defense. And then, of course, they signed Christian McCaffrey to that long-term deal and brought in Teddy Bridgewater. Let's see where they go here.
The Seattle Seahawks have traded the 64th pick to the Carolina Panthers. With the 64th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Jeremy Chin, defensive back, Southern Illinois.
Saluki, stand up. Carbondale, Illinois is on the board as Jeremy Chid is the highest Southern Illinois football player drafted since Terry Taylor went in the 3rd round of the Seahawks in 1984. Mel, this was one of your gems in this draft.
Really like him, Trey. 7 career interceptions in high school, 13 career interceptions at Southern Illinois. I saw him against Western Illinois November 16th. He had 15 tackles in that game, 1.5 tackles for loss. 9 of those 15 tackles were solos, and he sealed the win when he recovered an onside kick at the end of that game. He's really a guy who can really make plays in the passing game with those interceptions and those ball skills. Great range. He's 6'3", 221 pounds. He had 243 career tackles, 13 interceptions, 31 passes defensed, and 6 forced fumbles. He played a little cornerback as well, so you know they love that versatility and the fact that he takes those good angles as a tackler. Ball skills are outstanding. You're talking about a team that has a history and a tradition. Carolina, you talk about having those kind of guys with that kind of versatility there. Jeremy Chin, it wouldn't shock me if they tried him at corner. If he settles in at safety, fine. He's a heck of a player from the 1AA level.
Yeah, real quickly, he was in the 3rd round. Terry Taylor was actually a 1st-round pick of the Seahawks in 1984. But Jeremy Chin became so enamored with tackle football, he almost didn't even want to play flag football. He was one of those late bloomers, kind of like Kyle Duggar. He was a Guy that took a long time to get that growth spurt in high school, and now it has paid off, and Jeremy Chin is going with the Carolina Panthers. Round 3 is now underway. Let's go back to the commissioner.
With the 65th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Logan Wilson, linebacker, Wyoming.
And there is Logan Wilson and family having to wait no longer than the first round, or the first pick rather, of the third round to hear his name come off the board. And this is a kid from Casper, Wyoming. He said wearing the yellow and brown, the gold and brown, meant something for me. His father, Trevor, wrestled at Dickinson State. What can we tell us, DJ, about Logan Wilson?
Well, I think you're going to look back 5 years from now. We're going to talk about this being one of the best picks in this year's draft class. This kid reminds me so much of Fred Warner as you go back and look at him in his high school tape as a DB. And you see what he does in coverage at the college level. You can see how he started at the back end of the defense before he moved up once he got to the collegiate level there at Wyoming. He just got phenomenal cover ability. His ability to be an athlete, move in space, match up, range sideline to sideline. You just see all this high school athleticism. It pops when you study this kid on the college field. As we get to it right here, you can see he's quick to see it, sort it, and then he goes. There's no hesitation to his game whatsoever. And when you're in a division with Lamar Jackson and company, you better be able to play sideline to sideline and make plays. That's what Logan Wilson does. I love this pick for the Cincinnati Bengals.
All right, there you see what they've done. They went Burrow and Ellis and T. Higgins on the first 2 picks, and now they've gone the defensive side of the ball. Solid shirt, by the way. We got to get it up for Logan Wilson on that part. Meanwhile, Ron Rivera and Kyle Smith now trying to figure out what Washington's going to do. Here's the commissioner.
With the 66th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Antonio Gibson, running back, Memphis.
All right, so this is another one of a run on Memphis running backs we've seen over the last 2 years. Anthony Pollard, Darrell Henderson in recent years. Lewis, what do we think of Gibson here?
Look, Gibson is an absolute weapon. He can play just about anywhere. He can line up in the slot and just gash you down the field with his pure speed as a wide receiver, and his run after the catch is as good as anybody's in college football and coming out in this draft at about 6 foot, 220 pounds. He has tremendous home run ability. He can line up at running back, and he could gash you for 100 yards there. He's the ultimate Swiss Army knife weapon, and I don't say that to just kind of like be blasé about my evaluation of this guy. This guy is a legit home run threat, and they will use him in so many ways you won't know where he's going to line up. That is a very good pick here in the third round for the Washington Redskins.
All right, so you get the wideout Antonio Gibson, and then you got Chase Young overall. Antonio Gibson is off the board. Lots more coming with us. The draft continues here on ESPN, the NFL Network, and ABC.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by...
You know how you cook the patty and you slap that cheese on there and it just all just comes together. Can't forget about the bacon.
I taste the sweetness.
I taste the tangy of it. Ooh, you want to try that?
Yes. Sweet and tangy bacon slinger.
You know, new customers save over $1,000 on average when they bundle home and auto with Progressive.
Wow. And now, the Progressive Commercial Halftime Show, featuring Smash Mouth. Thank you, good night. Now enjoy the second half of the commercial.
Even renters can bundle and save.
Where'd that come from?
Your kitchen. It was halftime.
Let's watch a cooking show.
Cookie show?
Cooking shows.
Cookie shows?
Play the Great British Baking Show.
Cookie shows!
Introducing AT&T TV. Watch with easy self-setup. Shipped directly to you.
What do we want for dinner?
Burgers! I want a sugar cookie! I want a bucket of chicken! I want...
It's the easiest because it's the cheesiest. Kraft, for the win-win.
This is what our communities are made of. The local businesses that keep them thriving, and the people who support their success. We stand by you. Spectrum Reach and Waymark have partnered to help by offering free videos for small businesses. Go to spectrumreach.com/rebound to get started today. Tell your customers how they can support your business during this challenging time. On behalf of Spectrum Reach and Waymark, thank you. Together, we will rebound.
Hey, don't forget Monday at 7 a.m., Good Morning Football crew on NFL Network spots the biggest winners of the 2020 NFL Draft. Good Morning Football, Monday at 7, only on the NFL Network. We are rolling through the third round of the draft. The Lions are on the clock. There you see Matt Patricia, head coach, pencil tucked behind ear at all times. Bob Quinn, the executive VP and general manager, working the phone. We'll find out what they are going to do as the Lions have gone with a couple of very solid players so far in this draft. Jeff Okudah, the cornerback, taken third overall, and then getting DeAndre Swift, the running back out of Georgia, in the second round. So what are they going to do with this pick number 67 in the third round? The pick is in. Let's find out where they're going to go, and let's head back one more time to Roger Goodell.
With the 67th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Julian Okwara, linebacker, Notre Dame.
So this means there's going to be a family reunion for the Okwaras because his older brother Romeo, who went undrafted in 2016, played for the Giants as a rookie, but has spent the last 2 seasons with the Detroit Lions. So Julian, this is Romeo. Romeo, this is Julian. And as for Julian, born in London, raised in Lagos, Nigeria, moved to Charlotte, North Carolina in the 3rd grade, and again has the potential to play with his brother. Now, his season was cut short by 9 games after a fractured left fibula in the win over Duke. But before the injury, he had become a team captain, 4 sacks, 6 tackles for losses, and 2 forced fumbles. Boog, what are they getting in Julian Okwara?
Yeah, and before he broke his leg, Trey, he was having an outstanding season. You talk about a guy 6'4", 252 pounds, explosive off the edge. He makes offensive tackles scared. Also has some versatility. You can drop him off. 3-4 outside linebacker, 4-3 stand-up pass rusher in those situations. But this is a tremendous athlete, long, linear, still has a little room to get stronger. Look for him to be an outstanding player, especially if he gets a little stronger, adds 5 or 10 pounds on the next level.
Well, what's really interesting, he became a captain, and that was because he matured greatly in Brian Kelly's eyes. Brian Kelly said, if you told me a year ago that Julian Okwara was going to be a Notre Dame captain, I would have said, you've got to be kidding me, because of his joking way about him. But he turned it around and became the leader that Brian Kelly wanted him to be. And now it looks like Julian's going to have a chance to play a little football again, aside older brother Romeo. And he gets bragging rights. I mean, Romeo's been in the league for the first 3 years, but Romeo went undrafted. Julian Okwara, as we said, goes in the 3rd round, and he goes to the Lions. Meanwhile, Adam Gase and his kids are back on the clock as the Jets head coach is there, working the Rubik's Cube, keeping the mind sharp. Always a good idea. Let's go back to the commissioner.
With the 68th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Ashton Davis, defensive back, California.
Okay, this is a fascinating pick because Ashton Davis has been referred to by Peter King, among other people, as the mystery man in this draft. What is he? His hometown is Santa Cruz, California, which is known for 2 things, surfers and smoking weed. Ashton Davis says, I don't do either one of those things. He was a finalist for the Burlsworth Trophy. What is that? Well, that's someone who started their career as a walk-on. Ashton Davis started not only as a walk-on in football, but before that, he was walked on at the track team at Cal, and Davis won the 2017 Pac-12 meet in the 110-meter hurdles and came in first in the 60-meter hurdles. And then after that, Lewis, he walked onto the football team and became an impact player for the Bears.
Yeah, he is a tremendous player. One of my favorite players in the draft. Got to talk to him at Cal before they played Arizona State. He's got tremendous range in the middle of the field, tremendous instincts, a student of the game. He really is dialed in pre-snap as far as where he needs to go, and then he just turns it loose as far as his physical ability is concerned. He's a guy who can play the nickel. He can play the dime. He's got good feet. He's got good hips. He's got tremendous closing speed, and he can finish with interceptions. And on top of it, he's a tremendous kick returner as well. This is a guy who's earned everything that's coming his way. This is a tremendous pick by the New York Jets. Greg Williams, the defensive coordinator, will love the versatility of this young man, as well as the special teams coaches in New York, because he can take it to the house if he gets some seams as a kick returner. Fantastic pick.
By the way, he was confident. In 6th grade, he wrote down a project. One day I hope to be famous. My dream is to play in the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball all at once until I am too old to play. Sports is my hobby, and that's all I do. And now he's going to be doing it at the NFL level for the New York Jets, and Joe Douglas, the general manager for the Jets. Meanwhile, let's get to the next pick, as it looks like it is coming in very quickly. It is for the Seattle Seahawks. Pete Carroll and John Schneider's family waiting to find out.
Come on. With the 69th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Damian Lewis, guard, LSU.
All right, you're going to see a run on offensive linemen here coming off the board here for LSU, because they've got a bunch of them that are draft eligible. So what do we think of Damian Lewis here, DJ?
He's a power guard. I mean, he gets some real movement at the point of attack, a very physical player. I thought he played with overall really good awareness. The one tape that people had trouble with was Auburn. Derek Brown was able to get after him, but you have to realize Derek Brown got after just about everybody they played this year at Auburn. But I thought overall, a powerful guy who can torque and turn you and finish you in the run game, and somebody that plays with outstanding awareness in pass protection.
Started all 28 games of his career for the Tigers at right guard, transferred from Northwest Mississippi Community College. Damian Lewis is now a member of the Seattle Seahawks, joining Darrell Taylor, the defensive end that Booger really liked, and of course Jordan Brooks, that tackling machine out of Texas Tech. Pete Carroll is enjoying himself. Let's all be Pete Carroll. You too, John Snyder. Enjoy yourself. Clap. Stay with us. We're coming up.
Category 3 hurricane left more than 1 million people without power.
Some of the effects of the superstorm leveled an entire community.
Tornadoes struck in the early...
We've always tried to be there when you and your home have needed us most. Working together to keep your home working. It's just what we do. What we've always done. What we'll continue to do. Because home is what unites us.
Looks like they picked the wrong getaway driver.
Gonna be paying for this for a long time.
They will, but with accident forgiveness. Allstate won't raise your rates just because of an accident, even if it's your fault.
Cut! Sonny.
Is that good?
Line. The desert never lies.
Isn't that what I said?
No, you were talking about Allstate and insurance. Let's try again. Everybody back to one.
Accident forgiveness from Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
I've never had Burger King nuggets before. It's a lot better than I expected.
And the best part is, they're 8 for only $1.
What? These are good. It's crispy and it's golden. When you see an ad like that, you don't expect them to taste this good.
Yup, 8 delicious nuggets for just $1. Your way better.
Feed a healthy lifestyle with Pure Protein.
High protein, low sugar. Tastes great.
High protein, low sugar. So good.
High protein, low sugar. Birthday cake.
Pure Protein, the best combination to help you stay fit.
My time is thin, but so is my lawn.
It's been worn down to ugly, thin grass. Now there's Scott's Thicker Lawn, the 3-in-1 solution with a soil improver to strengthen roots, seed to fill in gaps, and fertilizer to feed. The result? Up to a 50% thicker lawn after just one application.
Now yard time is our time.
This is a Scott's Yard. Download the Scott's My Lawn app for your personalized plan.
Service isn't just a department. It's a voice on the other end of the phone.
A note to say you're on our mind. A willingness to come to you.
The world and how we interact with each other is changing, but that will never change who we are at Lexus.
Now, more than ever, you and your needs come first.
Find out what service options are available in your area at lexus.com/people first.
During these challenging times,
our country has been so fortunate
to have a great team of first responders,
hospital staff, and essential employees working
together to get us through this tough time.
We want to thank those that go out on the front lines daily
for your tireless work
and sacrifices
to keep our communities safe.
To the fans,
thank you for your continued effort
to stop the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic.
Let's be good teammates to one another.
We got this.
We got this.
We got this.
Well, glad you're with us. Time for a look at Mel's best available, brought to you by Lowe's. Mel, tell us about him.
Yeah, Zach Bond, versatile linebacker out of Wisconsin, had a lot of production in that defense in the Big Ten. Josh Jones, solid player, not spectacular, but I think was worthy of late first, early to mid second round consideration. I'm a big Justin Madubuike fan. Love the way he collapses things along the interior. Zach Moss, production game to game was outstanding running the football. And Adam Troutman out of Dayton, think about a guy who made that transition, quarterback, tight end, became a real factor in that offense as a junior and caught everything thrown his way. Very athletic kid. He could have been a mid to late second rounder, and I don't think anybody would have argued with that pick had it been for an Adam Troutman at that point. Here we are now in the third round. He's still on the board. I have him rated right now as a number 2 tight end behind Cole Kmet in this draft.
All right, Mel, thanks very much. It's time for the Miami Dolphins to pick, and Commissioner, have a seat.
Now that we're 70 picks into the NFL draft, I'm moving over to my easy chair where I usually watch my NFL football. I'm much more comfortable over here. With the 70th pick in the 2020 NFL draft, the Miami Dolphins select Brandon Jones, defensive back, Texas.
All right, Brandon Jones is an interesting kid, a 3-year starter for the Longhorns, but he couldn't work out at the combine because of a torn labrum. So he decided he was going to show teams how smart he was. He asked for every snap of every play defensively of every team. Now, he didn't get through all of them, but he watched about 4 quarters or 4 games for every team. Mel, what do we think about Brandon Jones?
Love the versatility of Brandon Jones. He had done a lot during his career at Texas. Think about this past season. He had 64 solos of the 86 tackles, which led that Longhorn defense. That's impressive. 4.5 tackles for loss, broke up 4 passes, had a couple interceptions, and forced a fumble. What I really like is play high, you can play in the slot. That's what really got my attention this past year, was his ability to cover out of the slot. That's critical, and the NFL defensive coordinators love safeties that can do that, provide that type of versatility. And at Texas, he was arguably, if not their best defensive player, certainly one of their top 2. And I thought overall this year with Stearns as well at that safety spot, outstanding football player, Brandon Jones. That's a real nice pick at that point in the third round for the Miami Dolphins. I thought a lot of games this year, he looked like a mid-second rounder. So you're getting, I think, pretty good value here with a real versatile safety and athletic safety in Brandon Jones.
Again, a 3-year starter at the University of Texas and trying to show off how prepared he could be. So you take a look at Miami. Obviously, they went Tua and the big tackle, Austin Jackson. Couple of defensive backs, and then Noah Igbenogany, the cornerback out of Auburn. Baltimore pick is in. Let's go back to a comfortable Roger Goodell.
With the 71st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Justin Madubuike, defensive tackle, Texas A&M.
Oh, Mel, finally someone listened to you about Justin Madubuike out of Texas A&M. The 6'3", 300-pound native of McKinney, Texas, skipped his final season of eligibility. Mel, you've been preaching on him for a while now.
Yeah, I didn't rate it. Ahead of Ross Blacklock from TCU went earlier in round 2. Madubuike led the A&M Aggies with 11.5 tackles for loss. I like the sack total. I'm big about disrupting in that backfield, getting after that quarterback. Quarterbacks hate that interior pressure. He had 5.5 sacks, 7 quarterback hurries. Think about the Auburn game. He had 4 tackles, 2 for loss, and a sack. Against Alabama, he had 6 tackles. Against LSU, he had 1.5 sacks. How do you do against the quality opponents? Madubuike stepped up and did it. He's got a great motor, active hands. Overpowered at times, but I thought overall, Booger, Madubuike held up really well, and he got into that backfield boog and made things happen.
Yeah, Mel, you and I are sharing a brain on this. I go back to the Ole Miss game or the Clemson game and just watch how he used his athleticism to penetrate the middle and push the pocket. What do all these quarterbacks to the pocket passers want to do? They want to step up. You got to have that interior pressure coming inside. Plays with a low center of gravity, but yet has the length to use his hips, flip the hips there, going after Kelly Bryant there. I just love when you bring a guy that has athletic ability. You put an athlete on the field. He has sideline to sideline chase ability, but can push the pocket. Underrated as a pass rusher, but he'll definitely get better at the next level.
All right, so Madubuike is off the board. Meanwhile, let's now check out what the Arizona Cardinals are doing with pick number 72 overall.
With the 72nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Josh Jones, tackle, Houston.
Somewhat surprising that Josh Jones is still on the board here into the 3rd round, and finally the emotion hitting Josh Jones. 45 career starts. He's a Houston kid, born and bred, and now he goes to the desert. DJ, this is a guy who is a self-proclaimed movie buff. He worked up against Ed Oliver in practice for a few years. That's going to sharpen your skills. What are we getting in Arizona in Josh Jones?
Well, we thought they might go with an offensive tackle early, and now not only do they get a big-time defensive playmaker in the 1st round, they're able to get a quality top 50 type player at the tackle position in Josh Jones, who's very patient in pass protection. He's got good foot quickness, does a nice job of using his hands and keeping his chest clean, stays square. He's not the most dynamic or explosive player, but he's steady Eddie when you study him on tape. You see him at the left tackle position here. I have a feeling he's probably going to kick over to the right side and play on the opposite side of DJ Humphries there in Arizona.
Listen, he's a guy who has a lot of tattoos and has a good sense of humor. He has an Astros tattoo. As I said, he's Houston all the way, and one reporter asked about it in light of the sign-stealing scandal, and he said, I have one, but I'm not going there. I'm not answering any of those questions. I'm still a fan. Teams winning in our city, I love it. And hopefully they'll love him in Arizona. Again, there is the crib. Cliff Kingsbury for the win one more time. And you know he said make sure you put it on a wide shot. Stay with us. The draft continues. We all are aspiring one day to live in Cliff's house.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft, presented by Lowe's.
For now, we're all living a new normal. Businesses are closing. Living rooms are now offices and schools. Our world is suddenly different, but one thing stays the same. State Farm is there. To any of our customers currently facing financial burdens, call your State Farm agent, because we're here to help make this new normal feel just a little more normal. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
New Kinder Bueno. Wow. It's crispy. It's creamy. It's not your average chocolate bar. Smooth milk chocolate, crispy wafer, and creamy hazelnut filling. It's new Kinder Bueno.
Wouldn't it be nice to eat with some of your old friends? Like the Chalupa Supreme, beefy 5-layer burrito, and more. Order ahead and get your $5 Chalupa Cravings box at Taco Bell's contactless drive-thru.
Your participation in the 2020 census determines how to allocate billions of dollars of federal funding. Your answers and personal information are strictly confidential. They help fund schools and education, accessibility, healthcare and first responders, affordable housing, and more. Complete the census in multiple languages, online, by mail, or on the phone. Go to 2020census.gov for information. Brought to you by these organizations.
A month ago, I got the coronavirus. It took me down, sent me to the hospital. It's the real deal, nothing to play with. And I want to say thank you to everyone out there who's doing their part by staying at home and following the rules and the advice of our healthcare experts. Let's keep it up. We're not there yet, but if we keep on following the rules, we'll get beyond this sooner than later. Also, thank you to all the healthcare workers, everyone on the front line who's serving people like me, to help people like me get better. You are our true heroes.
And boy, this virus hit the Basellis so differently. His wife had minor symptoms and Tony was in ICU. We are all in this together. Help us make a difference now. Huddle up for COVID-19 relief efforts and join players, teams, fans, and communities around the country in the NFL Draft-a-thon. If we unite behind this cause, we can provide relief for those significantly impacted by the pandemic. Every dollar counts. Visit NFL.com/relief to donate now. So we're still looking at some of these quarterbacks that are still on the board, including Jacob Eason, waiting to see when he will hear his name called. Kurt Warner, when do you think they might go? What do you think they're still here for? Why do you think that is?
Well, I tell you what, Trey, I'm not sure it's a direct reflection of the players themselves. When you look around the league, our league is in pretty good shape when it comes to the quarterback position. There's a couple teams, New England, Jacksonville, that have young quarterbacks slated to start, but you'd have to fall in love with one of these guys. Obviously, nobody to this point in dire need of grabbing a quarterback.
Don't worry about sponsorship eligibilities there. The hat can stay. It's not a problem. As Jake is there. He seems also comfortable as we're trying to. Thank you for recognizing that. We appreciate that. It's not a thing. Jake, you're all good. You're still the man-child you were when you broke through with the 2011 Little League World Series. We're all proud of you. We'll get there eventually. We'll figure out what's going on. Meanwhile, we got Doug Marrone, the Jacksonville head coach, and David Caldwell, the general manager, trying to figure out their next move and what the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to do. They've filled some needs so far in this draft, including getting that cornerback early on in the round at C.J. Henderson. So we're trying to figure out exactly what they are going to do as we continue to go through this process and figure out what's going to happen next. So as we're trying to see what happens when the Jacksonville Jaguars pick gets in, Mel, what do you think of what the Jags have done so far, and where do you think they might be needing to go here?
Well, I think if you look at what they did in the first round, Trey, and you go back to that, C.J. Henderson is an excellent cover man, and you get the pass rusher in K'Lavon Chaisson. So I think when you look at that opportunity there, and then Laviska Shenault, I was a little surprised. I know we talked about the potential because of his versatility, but you think about the injury issue. He's got to stay on the field to be a factor for Gardner Minshew. I think the durability with Laviska Shenault Jr. is the big factor. Maybe some people had him in the third round. They took him in the second. Maybe some will think that's a reach, but at one point in time, Shenault looked like a first rounder. But I think those injury issues 2 years in a row is the reason why maybe people had some concerns about Laviska Shenault Jr.
You're right, though, Mel, but if Laviska Shenault is healthy, he is a game breaker, and we saw that from his first play in college football. He picked up that fumble punt and took it for a score. All right, the commission's back in the chair.
With the 73rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Devon Hamilton, nose tackle, Ohio State.
All right, so Devon Hamilton is off the board. Mel, listen, he only played 1 year as a starter, but the year he played as a starter was a very effective season for the Buckeyes.
It was, and you're talking about talent-laden defense and the guys that can get after. We got Chase Young outside. They needed an interior presence. He got in that backfield. He handled some double teams, I thought, very well, stayed on his feet, located the football very effectively, and made plays. He was a nice player for Ohio State and a very consistent, reliable player. You didn't have the ups and downs with Hamilton. You knew he was going to bring it. He was a workman-like player they could count on week after week to show up and make plays and get in that backfield on an occasional basis and hold his own at the line of scrimmage and allow those linebackers to make plays. I think Devon Hamilton was a solid football player. Like I say, for a heck of a football team, a lot of talent, probably a little underrated and overlooked as to what he meant to that defense. He was a solid player and a guy that I think was a key element on that defense all year.
Yeah, again, 10.5 stops for loss along with 6 sacks. And you remember what the Jacksonville Jaguars have lost in free agency. That's exactly what they need to do to plug up the inside of that defensive line. Meanwhile, the New Orleans Saints are next up on the clock. And I see the commissioner is back in his favorite perch in the comfortable chair. So let's check in with Roger one more time.
The Cleveland Browns have traded the 74th pick to the New Orleans Saints. With the 74th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Zach Bond, linebacker, Wisconsin.
A lot of people thought potentially Zach Bond might be a first-round pick, but here he is sitting in the first half of the 3rd round instead. Look, he was a stud for Wisconsin, 32 combined sacks and tackles for losses last year, but he was a high school player of the year as a quarterback at Brown Deer High School in Wisconsin, a very small school. In fact, the first recruiting letter Wisconsin sent him was addressed to Zach Brown, not Zach Bond. And now, of course, he's a linebacker at the collegiate level, and he's a linebacker, there it is, to Zach Barn as well. There were all kinds of issues, Daniel Jeremiah, but he proved to be quite a player for the Badgers when he got on the field, regardless of the recruiting letter issues.
Yeah, look, when you look at that letter, I'm reminded as an option quarterback growing up in San Diego, I got recruiting letters for Darnell Jeremiah. So we've been there, Zach. Don't worry about it, buddy. You get by that. But he's somebody that can play on the ball, can play off the ball. He's athletic. He's versatile. He has the ability to really bend once he gets to the top of his rush and flatten towards the quarterback. Calling the Charger games the last couple years, he got a chance to be around Uchenna Nwosu, and that's who he reminds me of. And Uchenna can play on the ball. He can rush. You can drop him some in the flat like this. So there's a lot of things that Zach Bond can do. And Lewis, if not for some concerns medically, he would have been long gone by this point in time. That's the only reason he was still on the board at this point.
Yeah, DJ, I got a chance to see him earlier this year down in South Florida when Wisconsin went down there, and he's someone who the coaching staff raved about as far as his leadership, his tenacity, his versatility, and really what they liked was they liked when he was up on the line of scrimmage and he was rushing the passer, and when he was rushing with power and rushing with high side speed with those rips that you saw right there. I think he's best served going forward, putting pressure on the passer. He can play off the ball and play in a stacked position as a Sam Backer, maybe even a Mike, but this is a guy who's going to be, his job is going to be to get after quarterbacks and put them on their back, because that's what he has been successful at doing at Wisconsin.
Yeah, listen, Schefter tweeted, Adam Schefter did, that Bond notified all 32 teams that he tested positive for a diluted sample at the combine. He blamed that on drinking too much water for weight-related weigh-in purposes per league sources. You have to wonder if that factored in any way, shape, or form as well. So meanwhile, the Lions' next pick is in. It's pick 75 in the 3rd round. Let's see where the commissioner says the Lions are going to go.
The Indianapolis Colts have traded the 75th pick to the Detroit Lions. With the 75th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Jonah Jackson, guard, Ohio State.
All right, so Jonah Jackson is off the board, the guard from Ohio State University. Mel, tell us a little bit about this Buckeye.
Transfer from Rutgers. He goes to Ohio State, and he has a heck of a year. He'll start out, as I say, playing for the Scarlet Knights. Yeah, obviously, you think about the jump up to Ohio State, and a lot was expected of him. He was going to be a hole filler. He was going to be an immediate starter, and he was. He came in there. He's 306 pounds, did a great job with Justin Fields at quarterback, made the most of this one season with the Buckeyes, did a heck of a job, I thought, supporting not only J.K. Dobbins with Fields, good in the pass game in terms of protection, solid run blocker, not only moves defenders off the line, but he got to that second level and landed some really good shots. pass blocking was, I thought, good, could get a little bit better. So if he makes some strides there, then he becomes a little more complete. Then he's got a chance to be a starter in the National Football League with the Detroit Lions and help out Matthew Stafford as well. So I think when you look at Jonah Jackson, benefited from having that one excellent year at Ohio State. Talent-laden team. We talked about all those guys getting drafted. And I think when people went back and looked at the tape, they saw a guy that not only keyed Dobbins, but improved, and he still has some ways to go as a pass blocker. But if it comes together, you can be looking at a starting guard in the NFL.
Well, he's also played a little center, but this 1 year at Ohio State, third-team All-American honors from the Associated Press, and first-team All-Big Ten accolades. Jonah Jackson is off the board, and Matt Patricia seems happy about it. Okay, Bruce Arians still on the porch. Jason Light still running around with all the kids. Where does Tampa go?
I know some of you have asked about the M&Ms. They're still within reach, and they are getting lower. I promise you. With the 76th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Keyshawn Vaughn, running back, Vanderbilt.
All right, so Keyshawn Vaughn is from Nashville, stayed there for his collegiate career. Again, he attended high school somewhat less than 2 miles away from Vanderbilt Stadium. He was the 2014 Tennessee Gatorade Player of the Year and transferred from Illinois to Vanderbilt. Lewis, what do we think about this running back?
Look, this is a downhill north-south runner that doesn't mess around very much with moving side to the side. And he's a guy who has good speed, about 4.51 in the 40 once he gets onto the second level. But again, he's a guy who wants to hit it north and south, as you're seeing on your screen. And once he gets in the open field, rarely did you see him get tracked down. He's got just enough speed to rip off those plus 20-yard runs as much as possible. And he was pretty productive in the passing game as well. Not a very varied route tree, but he had dependable hands. What I did like about him, though, and what that he will bring to Bruce Arians is this. He's going to bring a guy who's going to slam it between the tackles, a guy who's going to be very productive on first and second down, and if you need him to go on the field on third down and catch the ball, he will get it. He will get what he can. He will catch the ball and turn it up north and south. This is a very solid, typical third-round running back that you're going to wind up saying after 10 years or so, man, he had a productive career.
Well, the third Commodore running back to post multiple 1,000-yard rushing seasons. And what have we said about Tampa Bay? We like the defense. We like the weapons that Tom Brady has thrown to. Maybe we could get a little upgrade in the running game, and maybe they believe they've done that with Keyshawn Vaughn, the running back out of Vanderbilt. I know one person who thinks he's done that. That's Jason Light, the Buccaneers general manager. High fives all the way around. Stay with us. Round 3 of the draft continues.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis? Hey, do they ever ask you what you're wearing?
Yeah.
Red sweater, button-down shirt. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Shishito, burrito, raw keto, fried shiso, French fry, iced chai, pad thai, baked pie, half stack, taco pack, lobster mac, baby back, pork chop, soda pop, kebab, soursop, hot pot, hungry now. Noodle soup, cantaloupe, ice cream scoop, whipped cream, blue dumpling, chicken wing, Peking, and those crispy onion rings. We are America's Kitchen, DoorDash, every flavor welcome.
We're just in unprecedented times right now. You gotta make the most of what you have, go to work.
The situation, it is what it is.
The mindset going into the draft hasn't changed. Come out on the other side of this thing, a better version of you.
The biggest thing is just taking steps every day, improving every day.
Let's raise a cup to those who donate their time, who go from making coffee to making masks, and turn their store into so much more. From all of us at Dunkin' to all the heroes keeping everyone running, we thank you.
Jeff, you make smart choices, but you're getting burned.
Huh?
By your bank. With the Marcus by Goldman Sachs online savings account, you can earn more interest in 1 month than in 1 year with the largest banks.
I am getting burned.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I got to do something about this.
Probably should.
You could earn more interest in 1 month than in 1 year with the largest banks. You can money with Marcus by Goldman Sachs.
Well, glad you're with us in English, which is the proper language to use for this telecast, I should point out. As we continue here on the 2020 draft, it is day 2, round 3, looking at the Denver Broncos. They are on the clock. We've got John Elway, the general manager, and Vic Fangio, the head coach. They have gone full offensive weapons for Drew Lock so early in this draft, getting Jerry Jeudy in the first round, KJ Hamler, the speedster, out of Penn State in the second round. So what are they going to do? Are they going to give their defensive-minded head coach, Vic Fangio, something to work with on that side of the ball? Because if you look what they have on the offensive side, they also have Cortland Sutton. Remember, they picked up Melvin Gordon in the offseason to go along with Phillip Lindsay. They believe Noah Fant, the tight end they took in the first round last year out of Iowa, will also be something. So we'll be curious to see exactly where they go next. And we're about to find out as the pick is in. Let's go back to Roger Goodell in his easy chair.
With the 77th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Michael Ojemudia, defensive back, Iowa.
All right, Ojemudia is passionate about football and auto design, Mel, because his dad is a longtime engineer at Ford Motor Company. What kind of career could Ojemudia engineer in Denver?
Well, you look at a talented kid. He has the length, obviously, with those long arms. He's 6'1", 200 pounds. A 36 vertical combine, and what I think really got everybody's attention was that 4.45 speed that he showed in conjunction with all that physical and athletic talent. Go back to the tape against Wisconsin. He had a career-high 7 tackles in that game, impressed there. Against the USC Trojans in the bowl game, he had 5 solos and a couple pass breakups. So this kid had his moments and off coverage. That length really helped him. He made plays in front of him. So I think when you look at Ojemudia, the combine workout probably pushed him up probably 20 to 25 slots, in my opinion, because I didn't see him being a third-round pick based on tape. Had him at a fifth-round grade, bumped him up a little bit after that. I think that combine, if he can match what he showed at the combine in terms of physical skills, get coached up, become a little bit more versatile, Ojemudia, with that kind of talent, that kind of length and recovery speed, has a chance to make this team as a, obviously, start out, maybe your 5th, 6th option, and then work his way maybe into the rotation in that secondary.
Yeah, and you got to give him a lot of credit. He graduated with an undergraduate degree in electrical engineering and later received his PhD. He said he wanted to do that, as Dan Quinn and Arthur Blank, the owner of the Falcons, are looking on. And Ojemudia carried a very, very heavy academic load at Iowa. But before the next pick, we have a very special message for you now from one of the doctors leading the fight against COVID-19 from the Tanner Health Systems in Atlanta, Georgia. We are all in this together, trying to make sure as we draft players, we also are aware of why we're doing this draft very differently instead of in a very large place in Las Vegas. Here now, the doctor.
Hey, Atlanta. This is Dr. Eileen, Grady Maid ER Doc, here to tell you we got this. We have the best public health departments in the entire country. Here in Atlanta, we know what to do. Be safe. Please stay home. But there's hope. From the donated supplies to the cheers coming from the city towers, we do feel the love. Thank you. Though we've been burned before, we always rise up.
Thank you, Eileen, and everyone working in Atlanta and beyond to take care of our most vulnerable. You have our full support. And now with the 78th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Matt Hennessy, center, Temple.
All right, Matt Hennessy is an interesting guy that Matt Rule saw during his time at Temple, and he was working out at tackle, And Matt said, I get it and I understand that, but you know what? You have the perfect skill set to play center, and now that it's paid off as Matt Hennessy is a third-round pick at center, Lewis, for the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah, this is a guy who really relies on initial quickness. He can reach and cut off effectively at the line of scrimmage, can get to the second level quickly. He plays a little high, and therefore he can't really generate much lower body strength and explosiveness at the point of attack. He's not able to create leverage and move people out of the way, but his quickness is what saves him. He's going to have to learn to play with better knee bend in the run game. His set, quicks, and pass pro are good. Lateral range is good. He's smart, appears to pass off stunts, work well with offensive guards. So it's really just about the run game and really dealing with people who are bigger and more powerful than him. But his quickness is something that really is his calling card at this point.
Well, his brother, Thomas, is the long snapper for the Jets, and now Matt Hennessy is getting ready to do his work for the Atlanta Falcons. There you see the board. A.J. Terrell, the cornerback out of Clemson. In the first round, Marlon Davidson, the big defensive end out of Auburn. They can get his weight at the right number. He can be very, very productive. And Matt Hennessy, the center out of Temple, is off the board for Thomas Dimitrov. I think he's happy. We're all good. Hands up, Thomas.
Big day of closet organizing and jigsaw puzzling? Get Pizza Hut's Big Dinner Box. 2 medium pizzas, breadsticks, and your choice of pasta or wings. Sealed for your safety, all in one box. Choose contactless delivery or new curbside pickup at pizzahut.com.
Service isn't just a department. It's a voice on the other end of the phone.
A note to say you're on our mind. A willingness to come to you.
The world and how we interact with each other is changing, but that will never change who we are at Lexus.
Now, more than ever, you and your needs come first.
Find out what service options are available in your area at lexus.com/people first.
Hi. Welcome to cricket.
Hola.
Hey, y'all. Hi.
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 Hi. Stay safe. We're here to help you stay connected.
We welcome you to NFL Total Access.
It's one of the best things about the National Football League.
Free agency frenzy is finally here.
There's always a fresh piece of news.
Gronkowski is refreshed. He's back with Tom Brady.
Always something to find out.
A massive trade involving one of the best wide receivers in the league.
As it unfolds right in front of our eyes.
He's got the speed, he's got the length, he's got the strength.
We know the league better than anyone, and we're there to make sure you do too.
Kansas City, you got a champion!
NFL Total Access, only on NFL Network.
The American Red Cross urgently needs blood and platelet donations and asks healthy donors to schedule an appointment to give during this coronavirus outbreak. Patients are counting on life-saving transfusions. Visit redcrossblood.org.
Welcome back. The Jets are on the clock. There you see Adam Gase. By the way, I got to give Adam Gase credit. He has not moved, right? He's been in the same position this entire time in the draft. He is sticking with it. Meanwhile, let's see what Joe Douglas, Adam Gase are doing with the Jets. Go back to Commissioner Goodell.
With the 79th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Jabari Zuniga, defensive end, Florida.
All right, Booger, this is an interesting pick because he came back for his senior year to boost his stock, and it didn't go as planned. He suffered that high ankle sprain and played just in 6 games. What do you see in this kid?
Yeah, he lacks just a little bit of lower body flexibility, but overall, the one word I would use is he's twitchy. He's quick off the ball. He understands run schemes. He understands how to play down the line of scrimmage. And as a pass rusher, I think he has enough flexibility. If he has trouble turning the edge on to the next level, you can reduce him down inside. You can put on 10 or 15 pounds. I like him rushing over the guard. So either way, you either have a guy he can stand up and come off the outside in the 3-4 or slide down and kick inside. A little stiff on the low end, but I think his upside is tremendous.
Well, he says he doesn't regret coming back to school because he said his mother told him to do it, and he was going to do what his mother said. So there you see the Jets picks getting the gigantic offensive tackle, Mekhi Becton, in the first round, getting that playmaker and wide receiver from Baylor, Denzel Mims. Then they go another Bear. This time it's a Cal Bear, Ashton Davis. The safety was also a track star and a hurdling sensation for the Cal Bears. And Jabari Zuniga, the defensive end out of Florida, goes to the Jets also in the third round. Well, now the Raiders are on the clock, and of course that's where we were supposed to be for the draft. But again, the commissioner making the announcement last night that the 2022 draft will indeed be played, and there you are held in Las Vegas. And there see, of course, the new stadium and their head coach and GM John Gruden and Mike Mayock waiting to see what they do next. But before we announce this next selection, we have a very special family from the Tragedy Assistance Program for Survivors, TRAPS, which offers care to those grieving the loss of a military loved one. For more on that, we'd like to introduce the mother, stepfather, and brother of a fallen hero, Petty Officer Rico Peavy Jr.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us here at the NFL Draft. We are very excited to be here, and we're here in honor of our son, and he is very happy to see the Raiders come to his hometown, and we're just all so excited to welcome the Raiders to our city. Go Raiders! Go!
Nice.
Thank you to the Pruitt family. The entire NFL family joins me in offering our condolences as we join you tonight in honoring Rico's memory by making this next pick in his honor. With the 80th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Lynn Bowden, running back, Kentucky.
Well, this is really curious because you could call him a running back, you could call him a wide receiver, or you could call him what they had him play last year, which was quarterback. He was one of the best dual threat quarterbacks coming out of high school. And Lewis, look, he was supposed to make the transition to wide receiver, but then, of course, they had some injuries. They asked him to go back and play quarterback, and he set all kinds of rushing records for the Wildcats this year.
Yeah, I think wide receiver is where he'll ultimately wind up in the NFL, and he will work primarily in the slot, as you see on the screen, because that's where he's the most instinctive. That's where he's able to find zone holes, exploit them, get down the field, has good ball tracking skills, and can finish on the play. He's a guy who really has good running ability after the catch, and he's someone who understands field awareness. He knows how to run routes. He knows how to get open. He's someone with the ball in his hands in the open field. He just has natural run instincts. And really what John Gruden has gotten a guy like Bowden is this. He can line him up just about everywhere, and he can really make you as a defense try to figure out when he comes onto the football field, is he going to be a quarterback? Is he going to be a slot receiver? Is he going to be a running back? And that affects your personnel groupings and how you're going to defend him. What John Gruden has done by drafting him now is just giving the AFC West some more to think about when Lynn Bowden gets on the football field.
Yeah, he was the winner of the 2019 Paul Hornig Award for the nation's most versatile player. Again, all he did was set a school record for career and single-season rushing yards by a quarterback, break the SEC single-game rushing yard by a quarterback when he had 284 on the ground against Louisville, and turned the program's highest single-season yards per rush attempt average at 7.9. Lynn Bowden Jr. did a little bit of everything for them, and there's the award we're talking about with him. Came from a very rough upbringing in Youngstown, Ohio. where he saw a lot of stuff at a very, very early age. The homicide rate in Youngstown, Ohio is about 7 times the national average, and Lynn Bowden Jr. is now going to be a very versatile player for the Raiders. See how John Gruden and Mike Mayock find a way to get him on the field and use his very unique skill set. Meanwhile, let's go back to the commissioner for the very next pick in this draft.
I'll do it anyhow. With the 81st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Bryan Edwards, wide receiver, South Carolina.
All right, back-to-back picks now for the Raiders, and there you see the numbers for Bryan Edwards. Very, very productive for the South Carolina Gamecocks. Set career records for games with a catch, 48, receptions, 234, and receiving yards, 3,045. Also ranks third in school history with 22 career receiving touchdowns. DJ, he was not able to work out of the combine after breaking his foot while training. So what are we seeing out of Bryan Edwards going forward?
Well, he'd have been in the second round in this draft if he had a chance to be healthy going through the process. He's somebody that's going to play that X receiver on the outside at the next level. You line him up, he wins with physicality at the line of scrimmage. You see his ball skills with the one-handed snag against Tennessee. He reminds me a lot of Chris Godwin when he was coming out of college. I think this kid has that type of ability. And when you look at now what the Oakland Raiders have done, Henry Ruggs to be their Z receiver, somebody that can really take the top off the defense. Then you come back with Bowden, who can be a wildcat quarterback, gadget guy, use him in the slot, put him on the opposite side in the slot from Hunter Renfrow. You've got something to do with him. And now you've got Bryan Edwards to be that X to compete with Tyrell Williams. You guys know John Gruden likes to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning. He might have to start getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning to think up some new plays with all these new wide receivers.
Well, they are clearly being true to the Raiders' spirit with the number of wide receivers they have taken, including the speedsters, Henry Ruggs as well. But there are going to be a lot of toys for that offense now for John Gruden and company to play with. Again, Henry Ruggs ran that 4.27 at the combine, and basically 1/4 of his catches at Alabama were touchdowns. Somewhat question about that move for Damon Arnett in the first round, but then they get Lynn Bowden Jr. and then Bryan Edwards in back-to-back selections. John Gruden and company. There you see his son Deuce there in the background as well. You might imagine, yes, he is a power lifter. Mike Mayock and company checking in on what's going on from another room. Meanwhile, it is now the Cowboys that are on the clock, and let's see where the Dallas Cowboys, Mike McCarthy and Jerry Jones, go with their next selection.
With the 82nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle, Oklahoma.
Okay, Neville Gallimore is a well-traveled prospect. He's a native of Ottawa, Ontario, but he also has Jamaican roots from his parents. And you take a look at notable Canadian players born. N'Keal Harry was a Canadian that went in the first round last year. And, of course, the Chiefs have a Super Bowl winning doctor from Canada in their guard, Laurent Duvernay-Tardif. But Neville Gallimore really wasn't getting any exposure in any way, shape, or form from his high school in Ottawa, so he had to go to a different Canada high school called Canada Prep in St. Catharines. That was 5 hours away, but Booger, that put him on the map, and that got him to Norman, Oklahoma.
And without a doubt, defensive coordinator in Dallas, Mike Nolan, has got to be happy because of Neville Gallimore. I tell you one word, vertical. He wants to get up the field. If you double team him, he knows how to get off and chase sideline to sideline. But in this new defensive scheme that Mike Nolan is going to bring, you need the guy that has that lateral ability to chase the ball carrier down, but also in passing situations, he can get up the field and push the pocket, realizing that you got DeMarcus Lawrence coming off the end. This is going to be a really good fit for a guy 6'3", 304 that wants to go north and south. Should be really good for the Dallas Cowboys.
So 2 Sooners in the Cowboys draft class, including C.D. Lamb, the wide receiver in the first round. And then somehow Trevon Diggs was there for him in the second round. And Neville Gallimore is now going to be under the employ of Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner, president, and GM. And there is Neville. Here we go. Good times tonight for the Gallimores.
You're watching the 2020 NFL Draft. presented by Lowe's.
Traditions are important, now more than ever. And while I considered skipping this one, Bud Light reminded me it just wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, there you go.
I want you on my side, and I want you to help me take him down once and for all.
Would I do absolutely anything to survive? Yes.
Be greedy. Be hungry.
He's not capable of alliance, only destruction.
I am a monster.
All systems have to die eventually.
Hey, can I
Hold on 1 second.
Sure.
Okay. Safe driver, save 40%. Guys.
Check it out. Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
Safe driver, save 40%.
That's Safe Driver Save 40%.
It is. That's Safe Driver Save 40%.
It's right there.
It's him. He's here.
He's right here.
Hi.
Hi. Hey. That's totally him.
That's him.
That's totally the guy.
Safe drivers do save 40%. Click or call for a quote today.
Some of my best memories growing up were cooking with Mom. She always said, food is love. So when she moved in with us, a new kitchen became part of our financial plan.
There was a dream.
I want to make the most of every meal we have together.
At Northwestern Mutual, our version of financial planning helps you live your dreams today. Find a Northwestern Mutual advisor at nm.com.
This right here is the new papadilla, which, if I'm not mistaken, is Latin for better than a sandwich. Even has a better pickle. Get a new papadilla for $6. Better ingredients, better pizza, better than a sandwich. Papa John's.
Like leather, skin is stronger when it's hydrated, but 9 out of 10 men don't get the hydration their skin needs. That's why Dove Men Plus Care Body Wash has a unique hydrating formula to keep men's skin healthier and stronger.
So I want to shout out to all the healthcare workers, all the doctors, the nurses, everybody that's just showing love, everybody that's helping.
To all of our first responders, healthcare providers, and essential workers, from the bottom of our hearts, thank you. You are the heroes who will get our country through this.
I also like to give a special shout out to all the hardworking healthcare workers taking care of others. We appreciate and thank you.
Third round of the draft rolls on. Time to take a look at the best available according to our Mel Kiper Jr. It's brought to you by Lowe's. Mel, what do you got?
Highly productive running back with Utah, Zach Moss still there. And I think when you look at the Dayton Flyers and you see an athlete, a tight end that can catch the football like Adam Troutman, he's going to be a nice acquisition for somebody coming up soon. Jacob Eason, rocket arm, the imposing size. Obviously had some fourth quarter struggles, some second half struggles, but that talent is there. Devin Duvernay had an exceptional year. If you want a slot receiver who can fly and will give you everything he has, very hard worker, he's going to be a heck of a pick and be, I think, a first-year starter in the NFL, rookie starter. And Jordan Elliott, I think when you look at talent and what he can be as a developmental defensive tackle, a lot of potential to work with there.
All right, Mel, thanks. The next pick is in. Let's go back to Commissioner Goodell.
With the 83rd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Lloyd Cushenberry, center, LSU.
Lloyd Cushenberry makes 9 LSU Tigers drafted so far, and we're not even through the third round. By the way, he was the first offensive lineman to be awarded the number 18 jersey. He wore a patch on his uniform, which is given to the player that best represents what it means to be an LSU football player on and off the field. Boog, tell us about this guy.
Well, obviously, he's a leader in wearing number 18 for LSU. Smart player. You look at that LSU offense, they went no huddle a lot. They trusted Lloyd Cushenberry to help make the calls, figuring out where the blitz was coming from. If you go back and you watch the tape, his 2018 was a little bit better than 2019. He has enough power in his hands to stop those big nose tackles. If you want to run some zone scheme, he's got enough athletic ability to get on the outside. This is a solid center. He'll play a long time, smart, versatile. Could even kick him out to guard if you need to. I love this pick for the Denver Broncos.
Well, we'll see what happens. And by the way, there you see him clearing the way for Clyde Edwards-Helaire there that went in the first round of the Kansas City Chiefs. And he's not going to be the last offensive lineman taken in this draft off the LSU defense, or LSU offensive line, rather. But here's what we've gotten. It started at the top with Joe Burrow, and LSU bookended the first round. I mean, they had Joe Burrow go number 1 and Clyde Edwards-Helaire go 32 in between K'Lavon Chaisson, Justin Jefferson, all those guys. And so far tonight, we've had Grant Delpit. Again, second straight year that the Browns have taken a DB out of LSU in the second round. Greedy Williams went last year. Christian Fulton, Damian Lewis, and now Lloyd Cushenberry. Stand up as he is going to Denver to block for Drew Lock and company. And it is happy times in the Cushenberry house all the way around. I love the hugs. All right, so now it's time to check in on what the Rams are doing. Sean McVay, studiously on the phone. Les Snead, the general manager there, trying to figure out exactly where they're going to go, and let's find out right now.
With the 84th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Terrell Lewis, linebacker, Alabama.
Okay, Terrell Lewis is a very interesting case study here, because here is a guy who, when he's on the field, has been very, very productive for Alabama. But, Mel, the problem was he's battled through so many injuries in his career.
In 2017, missed 10 games with upper arm injury. So you're right, he's got to be out on the field. But when he is, as a pass rusher with the kind of size and length and athleticism that he possesses, he can be a real factor getting into that backfield. He had 11.5 tackles for loss this past year. 6 of those were sacks. 16 quarterback pressures led that Alabama defense. Went back, look at the A&M game when he had the 2 sacks. He showed the ability to come off that edge, and it shows that ability to close quickly. Against Arkansas, he had 6 quarterback pressures in that one game. Against LSU, 7 tackles, 3 pressures. So when he has been at 100%, whether the opponent is big time like LSU or even in Arkansas, he was still bringing the heat. It didn't matter. So he wasn't a guy that just played in spurts. The key is keeping him on the field, hoping he can shake that injury jinx that kind of hampered him throughout his career at Alabama. He can win with speed. He can win with power. Closes in fast fashion. He's a pass rusher, and plain and simple, when he's on the field, he could end up being a double-digit sack guy as a situational performer in the NFL.
Well, you take a look at all the Bama players taken here. Terrell Lewis, somebody says he has Mike Tyson-like hands. They're so explosive. A couple of years ago, I was at an Alabama game, our spring game, and Jonah Williams, who went 11th last year, said we've got nobody that can block this guy. So there you see Terrell Lewis finally off the board, going to the Los Angeles Rams. Sean McVay, it's okay. It's okay to take a knee on the chair. It's all good. It's a very unusual environment we're working on in here, Sean McVay. Glad you're with us, and we'll see what happens as they continue to work their way through the draft. Now we've got Frank Reich, the head coach of the Colts, and Chris Ballard, the GM. Let's go back to the commish for their pick.
With the 85th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Julian Blackmon, defensive back, Utah.
All right, Julian Blackmon out of Utah. Daniel Jeremiah started 2 seasons at cornerback before moving to free safety as a senior this year, and he must have done something right. All first-team Pac-12, Daniel, and second-team All-American.
Yeah, unfortunately, Trey, he ended up tearing his ACL in the Pac-12 championship game, so I was curious to see how that would impact his draft status. I don't think it had too much of an impact. You see the production, it's off the charts. He's got 9 career interceptions as a pure free safety with that former corner ability. Now you have a corner back there on the back end. You could match him up in some man-to-man situations. You see the timing and burst as a blitzer. He plays fast. I'm happy for him. I did not know if he would drift in this draft because of that injury. I think this is maybe a little bit of a punishment for that ACL, but overall, the Indianapolis Colts betting he's going to get back to full health, and they're going to see this player again.
Again, so 2 seasons at corner, moves to free safety, and is second-team All-American, all Pac-12. As we take a look at the picks for the Colts, Michael Pittman, the wide receiver, in the second round out of USC, had 100 receptions for the Trojans, and they get that uber-productive running back out of Wisconsin, Jonathan Taylor, over 6,000 yards, the first running back ever to have 6,000 yards in less than 4 full seasons. Time to take a look at Mel's best available. Mel, this time we're looking at quarterbacks, and we're seeing some different names pop up here, including James Morgan and Cole McDonald.
Yeah, they're going to end up late in the draft. Very few teams obviously prioritizing getting a quarterback after that top group. And you always have that kind of lull where there's not one drafted. Then you get into the 4th, 5th round, you get one, then late. But Jacob Eason's got big-time arm talent, obviously with that kind of size. It's just being more consistent. I think that's something you work on once you're in the league and you're coached up. But the talent is there. You cannot teach that kind of size and that rocket arm. And the fact that, hey, he had some really strong games. There was some couple little meltdowns here and there in the 4th quarter. But I tell you what, when you get into the 4th, 5th round area, Jake Fromm, is it going to be Andy Dalton? Is it going to be Aaron Murray? That was always the big debate. They kind of pushed him down with that questionable arm strength.
Kurt, what do you think?
Yeah, no question about it, Mel. If you like one of these guys, there's a lot to like, whether it's the big physical talent of Jacob Eason or whether it's the mentality and the winning mentality of Jake Fromm, who played 3 seasons starting at Georgia, won a lot of football games, didn't make a lot of mistakes. But again, at this point, you got to fall in love with one of these guys, and I'm not sure what team out there is going to do that.
Let's go to the commissioner, the pick for the Bills.
Buffalo Bills select Zach Moss, running back, Utah.
Well, we just talked about Jonathan Taylor being an uber-productive running back. You could make the same for Zach Moss and the things he was able to do in his career. Again, he's a cousin of Santana and Sonoris Moss. That's why you see the hometown of Hialeah Gardens. They both went to Miami. Originally committed to Miami and then went to Utah, and he did all kinds of great things for them. He finished his 4 seasons at Utah with school career records for carries, rushing yards, 100-yard rushing game, rushing touchdowns, and total touchdowns. Last season, he led the Utes with 1,416 yards. And, Boog, he paced the Pac-12 with 15 rushing touchdowns. Listen, he did everything he could for the Utes.
Big-time running back. I just love when he gets the football, very, very low center of gravity, thick down low, where he knows how to come downhill, has just enough wiggle ability to make you miss, but overall just a tough, physical runner. Has a little bit of home run hitting ability, but more important than anything, I just like his toughness and his physicality. Tough to bring down Lewis. He'll be a physical runner at the next level.
Yeah, he'll combine nicely with Devin Singletary up there in Buffalo. And you're right, what he is, he's a one-cut runner. He's a zone scheme runner or a power runner who wants to get the ball north and south. Has enough hands to catch the ball out of the backfield. But I will tell you this, in the secondary, as a safety or as a corner, when you come up to tackle him, do not think that he's just going to let you off easy. He will punish you because he carries a load. He carries a big stick as far as how he likes to finish runs off at the point of attack. This is a good complementary piece to Buffalo's running game.
Well, to that point, Lewis, Zach Moss had 53 broken tackles this past season. That was 3rd most in the FBS. And boy, I tell you what, he was a guy who had to fight for his yards at time, and he was willing to fight for them. And that's one of the things you really like about Zach Moss. It's all good now, Moss family. Smile and enjoy it as you are on your way, as Zach Moss is going to Buffalo. Meanwhile, back to the New England Patriots. Ladies and gentlemen, triple box. We see the Kraft ownership team, Nick Caserio, and we finally caught Bill Belichick in his chair, not roaming around his house in Nantucket. So the entire brain trust is there for the New England Patriots. And what are they going to do with this pick in the draft? Still waiting to see how they're going to go. We know at some point they're going to take a quarterback in this draft because they only have 2 on their roster right now, Jared Stidham and Brian Hoyer. Will this be the point in the draft, in the 3rd round, that they decide to go that route? Because, Tom's not there.
Come on, Patriot fans. Is that all you got? Oh, come on. Okay, with the 87th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Anfernee Jennings, linebacker, Alabama.
Another versatile defensive player for Bill Belichick to use in a lot of different situations here, Mel.
Yeah, again, this is that connection that we always talk about, the Belichick-Saban connection, and he likes what Bill Belichick likes, versatile, smart football players. I tell you, this guy can seek it out, he can figure out what the offense is doing, and he knows what he's doing on the football field. He never overcommits. He's an excellent tackler in the open field, in the backfield. He gives you that versatility, getting after the quarterback. He can play in reverse as well, but just a guy has a lot of savvy. He gets the most out of everything he has physically and athletically. Every week he shows up, works hard, and I'm sure when you talk about Belichick and Saban, what they were saying was, hey, is this guy going to be a guy I can count on in situational roles? And I think you can with Anfernee Jennings. That defense had an awful lot of ability. A lot of these guys are going to be moving on to the NFL. But if you talk about an underrated guy that keyed a lot of things they did, it was Anfernee Jennings. With Josh Uche, they got some guys at that second level that can make things happen on that defense.
Boy, you look at the versatility of all three of those picks, and you wonder how Bill's going to use them. By the way, if you're keeping count, and I know teams in the SEC are, that is the 9th Alabama player off the board. They are now tied with LSU for the most in this draft, and one behind Ohio State in 2016 for the most from one school through the first 3 rounds all time. Stay with us.
At Domino's, we pride ourselves on handcrafted pizza. But after leaving our 450-degree ovens, the only hands that touch them are yours. Mix and match any 2 or more for just $5.99 each and get them with contactless delivery from Domino's.
If we weren't able to stream anything, I think they'd be lost.
We're all home right now. That's why Verizon is giving you more of the entertainment you want.
Daly is usually watching a TV show, and McKenna is almost always listening to music.
We love Verizon.
I get the shows I need when I need them. Now, unlimited plans come with your favorite artists on Apple Music, shows and movies on Disney Plus, and over 70 top channels of live TV with YouTube TV.
Music plays a huge role in our family. That's how we connect.
Plans start at just $35 so your family can mix, match, and save. Shop online today, only at Verizon.
Now, more than ever, her love keeps you centered. Show her how much she means to you with a gift from the Center of Me collection. Happy Mother's Day from Kay.
In nearly 100 years serving the military community, we've seen you go through tough times.
And every time, you've shown us you're much tougher.
Your heart, courage, and commitment has always inspired us.
And now it's no different.
So we're here with financial strength, stability, and experience you can depend on.
And the online tools you need.
Because you have always set the highest standard.
And reaching that standard is what we're made for.
We may not be able to gather together, but we can grill together. Oscar Mayer invites you to take your backyard cookouts to the front. On May 2nd, join us for the Oscar Mayer Front Yard Cookout. Enjoy sharing a meal together, but safely apart, while we share 1 million meals with Feeding America. And every time you use the hashtag Front Yard Cookout, Oscar Mayer will donate an additional meal, up to 1 million more through the month of May. Let's head out front and give back.
I'm Natalie Jarrow, President and CEO of Second Harvest Food Bank of Greater New Orleans and Acadiana, and a die-hard Saints fan. For more than a month, our team has provided more than 3 million meals while we respond to the COVID-19 emergency across South Louisiana from New Orleans to Lake Charles. And on behalf of Saints fans all over the world, go Saints!
Well, glad you're with us as we continue to power our way through the 3rd round of the 2020 NFL Draft, crossing the 11 o'clock hour here Friday night on the East Coast. Hope you and yours are safe and happy wherever you are. The Cleveland Browns are now getting ready to pick. It is 24th pick in the third round, pick number 88 overall. There you see Andrew Berry, the Executive Vice President and General Manager, and Kevin Stefanski, a relaxed Kevin Stefanski, with the head coach. So where do we think Cleveland goes here? Mel, you take a look at what the Browns have been able to do so far. Again, we talked about getting Grant Delpit not too long ago. We also see that they were able to take Jedrick Wills, they are the draft. Well, let's just put it. They took an Alabama player and an LSU player. And that has been the theme. 18 of 87 picks have been either LSU or Alabama players. So congratulations, Cleveland, for summing up what the 2020 draft has become. Mel, what are we thinking?
Well, and it's pivotal that these two guys, Wills moving to left tackle is critical because Jack Conklin's the right tackle. Of course, we think Wills has that skill set to be able to do it, but it's going to be key to Baker Mayfield and that offense really clicking. And you think about a guy like Grant Delpit. Grant Delpit's got to play like he did 2 years ago. If the ankle injury was the only factor that prevented him from playing at that level, then you got yourself a great pick. You got to steal because going into the year, he had a chance, if you thought, to maybe be a top 15, top 20 pick in the first round. But it wasn't just the ankle, it was the missed tackles. Some of that you couldn't excuse away. So again, Grant Delpit's a pivotal guy. They're rolling the dice here, and I don't have any problem with the second round pick of Delpit. Because like I say, if you can see him revert back to that form he showed 2 years ago, then you got yourself maybe a Pro Bowl caliber safety. If Wills can be the left tackle, you got something going on offense and a Pro Bowl caliber player there. But they're both, in their own way, a little bit of a question mark because you're projecting Wills, and Delpit's got to show that ankle was the only reason he was missing tackles and not making big plays.
All right, Mel, thanks. So we've been on this train before, and it's gone off the tracks. But for the first time in decades, maybe they enter with promise. The hype train started in 2018 with the selection of Baker Mayfield and that 7-8-1 record. The expectations grew. Freddie Kitchens became the head coach. They picked up Odell Beckham Jr. It all looked like it was going toward a positive direction, and then 2019 said, I don't think so. After a 6-10 record, Freddie Kitchens was out. They parted ways with GM John Dorsey. In comes Kevin Stefanski. In comes Andrew Berry. So we're trying to figure out if this is the year that the Browns, who have had a lot of talented players on that roster over the last 2 seasons, can find a way to put it together and make a cohesive team out of all of those players. And again, it's worth noting this is going to be a very pivotal year in Baker Mayfield's NFL career because the coach and general manager that went out on a limb for him and made him the #1 overall in the pick in the draft just 2 years ago, neither one of them are in the building. But the pick is in, and for that, let's go to the commissioner.
Remember, fans, we've raised millions of dollars for COVID-19 relief, and we encourage you to keep them coming. We've made a difference, and we've raised millions of dollars already, and we hope to do more. And remember, the NFL is matching all of your donations, so we hope you'll keep it coming tonight. With the 88th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select Jordan Elliott, defensive tackle, Missouri.
All right, DJ, this is interesting. Jordan Elliott started at Texas, transferred to Missouri, but he's a guy that has a lot of tools you would want to work with.
Yeah, when you study him, Trey, I see a lot of activity. You just don't see a ton of productivity, but he beats the guy in front of him consistently. He's got some real knockback with his hands. He can stack those single blocks, press off of them. Just want to see him get off those blocks, then go make some more plays and see some of that pass rush production show up because he's got all the twitch and the explosiveness to be more productive than he is. Mel, there's a lot of upside here with this pick with Jordan Elliott, but I also, Mel, want to get your take on this. When we see Kevin Stefanski again, notice that he has a dining room chair and not an office chair. You're the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Let's get you a nice office chair. That thing's going to hurt your back.
I like Daniel. There you go. No, but in terms of Elliott, he began at Texas. I think you would have liked to see them really, like I say, produce a little more. The talent's there. The active, powerful hands. He flashed. He's scheme versatile. You saw variance in his moves. You saw always a guy that you knew had the talent to take it to another level. And he didn't do it quite yet. So I think when you say you get these guys that they come out a little early, they're not quite ready. I think there's a lot of talent to be tapped there with a little bit more coaching. Maybe a year or two down the road, he could show up big on that defensive line.
I tell you, Jordan Elliott was interesting. At first, he committed to Baylor, then to Houston, then to Texas, then Michigan, then signed with the Longhorns, and again, transferred to Missouri. So he had some thoughts about where he wanted to play his college ball. Meanwhile, the Minnesota Vikings pick is in. Let's go back to the commissioner.
Go, baby. With the 89th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Minnesota Vikings select Cameron Dantzler, defensive back, Mississippi State.
All right, Cameron Dantzler is interesting because he's a little bit undersized at 188 pounds. But, Lewis, when you saw him play, he was one of the best defenders against that potent LSU offense this past year.
Yeah, really, this might have been the only corner all year long that really gave Jamar Chase a little bit of a problem at the line of scrimmage. And why is that? It's because Dantzler wasn't afraid to attack him, and he got up on him, and he pressed him, and he played him physical, and he talked to him down the field. You can tell he wouldn't back down from him. And you can see here, this is a long, lanky corner that has a lot of physical range. It can really be a problem for people as far as trying to get off the line of scrimmage. And he's a guy who's not afraid of the physical side of the game as well. What kept GMs from really warming up to him was the fact that he didn't run a fast 40 time. And at cornerback, that is a requirement. That is something that you need if you want to go higher in the draft. But I'll tell you this, he has got the attitude, he's got the confidence, and I need to reemphasize this. Jamar Chase pretty much ran through every corner he went up against this past year from LSU. This was the one that really got up and challenged him and said, you're not doing that to me.
Well, the Texans are the next one on the clock, and there you see Bill O'Brien, the head coach, on the phone, figuring out what they want to do next, as we've just figured out what we saw there with Cameron Dantzler coming off the board, as Lewis was alluding to it. By the way, Dantzler is now teammates with LSU receiver Jordan Jefferson, so he had a pretty good game against him and Jamar Chase, and now he's going to be teammates together, and they can talk about those battles they had when they were on the collegiate football field. Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, the pick is in, and let us go back to Commissioner Goodell.
With the 90th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Houston Texans select Jonathan Grenard, linebacker, Florida.
All right, Jonathan Grenard began his career at Louisville. He was a team captain there. He transferred to Florida, but he was a 2019 first-team All-SEC and a 2019 15.5 tackles for losses, which also led the SEC. Bug, what do we think about Jonathan Grenard? Again, he started at Louisville and then made his way over to Florida.
Yeah, Trey, he's got some of the strongest hands in this draft. You consistently see him at 6'3", 263, set the edge. Whether it was Louisville, whether it's Florida, he can set the edge, understands how to control and keep his outside arm free and make some plays. The thing you were looking for is just a little bit more burst, a little bit more juice off the edge. Has an array of pass rush moves, but just doesn't have that natural speed and that natural juice to turn the corner. I could see him fitting as a stack linebacker maybe. Also in a 3-4 can be an outside linebacker. I think he has the ability to drop in coverage. But overall, I just think this is a developmental pass rusher who has some of the strongest hands that I've seen in this draft class.
I'll tell you also, we have one of the strongest vocal cords in this draft class. When he was 14 years old, he received a phone call to compete in this thing called The Gift, an Atlanta-style American Idol singing competition. And out of at least 1,000 participants, Jonathan Grenard finished 4th. So maybe one of these days we'll see him hitting the charts as well as hitting the quarterbacks. But defensive line heavy or pressure heavy for the Houston Texans. Ross Blacklock, the defensive tackle out of TCU, and now Jonathan Grenard, the rush end outside linebacker out of Florida. All right, Bill Belichick and company have just traded back in to the third round. So you wonder, when will they potentially look at that quarterback? Might this be the place for Nick Caserio and company? Or will they take another position? Because obviously Tom Brady is gone. So for more on what the Patriots are doing, let's check in one more time with Roger Goodell.
The Las Vegas Raiders have traded the 91st pick to the New England Patriots. And with the 91st pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots have selected Devin Asiasi, tight end, UCLA.
Roger, take a load off. Relax. We've got this. Asiasi played 2 seasons at UCLA after transferring from Michigan. He was rated as the number 3 tight end in the class of 2016. What do we think of this? Because obviously they're looking for tight end help as well.
Yeah, Trey, when you watch him, he play him flexed out. You'll see him in line a little bit, but somebody that can really stretch the seam. He's a vertical seam stretcher. You see him do that a bunch on tape, particularly at the end of the year. He had a phenomenal game against USC with some big plays working down the field. You see the athleticism after the catch. He went to De La Salle High School up in the Bay Area, which is a powerhouse, one of the best high school programs in the country. Eventually found his way to UCLA. Same high school as Maurice Jones-Drew, same college as Maurice Jones-Drew. So I know MJD's pumped up about this pick.
Well, we'll see how he's going to play, because you know that the Patriots like to use a bunch of different tight ends. And there you see Kyle Duggar, Josh Uche, Anthony Jennings, and finally the first offensive player that Bill Belichick and company have taken in this draft. Bill Belichick there working the phones to make sure everything got in on time, and they are set and ready to go. And they have taken Devin Asiasi out of UCLA. Nick Caserio, the Patriots Director of Player Personnel, also checking in, and the Kraft family also keeping a tight eye on things, making sure things are indeed going to plan for the New England Patriots, who, of course, are going to have to fight for that AFC East title, which has come with such regularity since the year 2001. Meanwhile, Baltimore is on the clock, and the Ravens' success in 2019 came from their offense led by NFL MVP quarterback Lamar Jackson. 201 passing yards per game, which was 27th in the NFL. But he also ran for 206 yards per game in the NFL. That was most for a quarterback in the NFL, as we get an up-close and personal look at Eric Costa, the executive VP and GM of the Ravens, and John Harbaugh. And by the way, Lamar became the first team, or the first player in NFL history, or the first team in NFL history, rather, to average over 200 yards per game in both passing and rushing. And they set a single-season record for the most rushing yards in a single season. A large part of that was what they got out of their quarterback. And even in the loss to the Tennessee Titans in the divisional round, Lamar Jackson did account for, close to 500 yards or over 500 yards of offense. But, Kurt, when you see that kind of offense, you know you're going to have to get more production out of the passing game going forward, right?
Yeah, no question about it. I mean, obviously, you run the football like that, you don't need as much production. And we saw Hollywood Brown come in last year and be able to give them some of the big plays over the top. They love their tight ends. But, yeah, without question, I think you try to continue to add weapons on the outside. You know you're going to be a primary run play-action team. But there's going to be some times where you get stopped running the football. You're going to have to make those plays in the pass game. So would not be surprised if Baltimore somewhere down the road here adds another weapon or two on the outside.
All right, let's take a look at the Ravens draft class so far. We saw Patrick Queen, which makes all the sense in the world. Justin Madubuike, the man Mel Kiper has been stumping for since the Combine, also went. So, of course, he went to the Ravens, Mel. And then J.K. Dobbins, the fine running back from Ohio State. Again, only Archie Griffin ran for more yards at Ohio State than J.K. Dobbins. He was the first Buckeye running back ever to rush for 1,000 yards as a freshman, a sophomore, and a junior, and the first ever to top 2,000 rushing yards in one season as well. So, the pick is in. Let's try and figure out what they are going to do. And for that, let us go back to the commissioner, Roger Goodell, and find out where the Baltimore Ravens are going to go and maybe try and get another weapon for Lamar Jackson to use on offense. Are we about to find out? Let's head to the commissioner and listen to what he had to say.
Okay, with the 92nd pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Baltimore Ravens select Devin Duvernay, wide receiver, Texas.
All right, someone Mel had alluded to, Devin Duvernay. By the way, he and his brother they're twins, Devin and Donovan. They both originally committed to Baylor, but then they signed with the Longhorns. And Duvernay, Lewis, was very, very productive here. Again, last season, ranking third in the FBS with 106 catches and 1,386 receiving yards. Those were only behind Jordan Shipley in Longhorn history. He's also a track guy, Lewis, which means he's got some explosiveness.
Yeah, no question. He is a 100-meter track champion. He's a guy who can absolutely fly, as you see on your screen, sub 10.5 in the 100 meters. And he's somebody who has that run after catch skill and where he can show off this 10.5, sub 10.5 100-meter speed. He works primarily in the slot. This is a game against Utah that he absolutely just tore them up from the slot. He can line up outside and run the double moves, and then he has tremendous ball tracking skills down the field to make the contested catches. It doesn't matter how much you push him, how much you push on him. He's someone who can always come up with the big play. He's a guy who's a little tight, but I'll tell you what, he will work at it, and that speed is game-breaking, Mel.
No question, Lou. 4.39. And you saw the improvement this year in terms of his hands and his concentration. Eliminated the drops, became much more consistent catching the football out of that slot. You think about Miles Boykin needs to step it up. You got Hollywood Brown. Now you add that 4.39 speedster that can catch that short pass. And what I really love about Duvernay, I tell you, he gives you everything he has. He's a great kid, picks up a lot of yards after contact. Excellent hands this year he showed after having a guy that you thought was going to be just inconsistent his whole career. The production was off the charts. Oklahoma State game, he had 12 catches. He had 8 catches against TCU and Gladney and those defensive backs. So I think Devin Duvernay is a great pick for Eric DeCosta. This draft overall should excite Raven fans. More weapons, more pieces for Lamar Jackson to attack defenses with.
By the way, Duvernay is cousins with Cardinals quarterback Kyler Murray. They didn't train together growing up, but they do see each other on the holidays. The draft is a holiday for all football fans. John Harbaugh's fired up. Yes, John.
You know, you've already got a home team. Willie, Lauren, Steven, Deborah. 300,000 members of a team working hard to keep your home working for you. Because home is what unites us.
State Farm is announcing the Good Neighbor Relief Program.
We're returning $2 billion to our auto policyholders through May 31st.
Because now, more than ever, being a good neighbor means everything. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
You know how you cook the patty and you slap that cheese on there and it all comes together. Can't forget about the bacon.
I taste the sweetness.
I taste the tangy of it. Oh, you want to try that?
Yes. Sweet and tangy bacon slinger.
I was sent a tape of a 16-year-old kid from Nigeria named Prince Tega. I asked him to come play for us here in Alabama. He said yes.
When Tega moved in with us, I promised his mom that we would treat him like one of our own. He's our family.
Once he hit the turf, that was it. It was ridiculous. Tega made a great sacrifice in pursuit of his dreams, and now that's about to pay off.
With coronavirus spreading, people at higher risk must take extra precautions. You are at higher risk if you're over 65 or if you have an underlying medical condition like heart disease, chronic lung disease, diabetes, or if your immune system is compromised for any reason. If you're at higher risk, stay 6 feet or 2 arm lengths away from others. Better yet, stay home if you can. The choices you make are critical. Please visit coronavirus.gov for more information.
We've always been interconnected, interdependent, united. And that's never been more apparent than right now. What we do together today